This is the Spoken Podcast. I am your host, Lance Twidwell. Here inside the Spoken Studios, my guy, Trevor Twidwell.
What's good?
Mr. Eddie Ortiz, Mr. Yo-Yo-Yo will be joining us momentarily. As you guys can imagine, this is a very busy time for everybody. Everyone's trying to get their Christmas shopping done. Everyone's trying to get their lives in order before the big day that is coming up, which is known as Christmas in these parts, or just another Chiefs game. Nevertheless, however you guys are listening, whether you're live streaming, you're broadcasting live with us, you're YouTubing, or you're podcasting, I want to thank you so much for being with us, guys. This has been an incredible ride, incredible journey with us, man, and I just want to thank you guys because we literally wouldn't or couldn't do it without you. It's what makes it fun for all the camaraderie, all the communication feedback that you guys give us. It is what makes this thing what it is. I don't know about you guys, but I have been really chomping at the bit. I know Trevor, we talked a little bit this week. Trevor and I have such insanely busy schedules and different schedules that sometimes we don't get to talk very much throughout the week. Even though we're brothers and we see each other pretty much every day, we still don't get a chance to really talk about these things on the show. So sometimes it's very therapeutic for us to get these things off our chest to each other. There's sometimes we have fresh thoughts, takes, and ideas that we haven't expressed to each other until it's on the show. So sometimes you guys are getting the intel and the insight at a very fresh version. We don't get to rehearse a lot of this stuff on our show. That's why we like to keep it that way. It's very authentic, very honest with you guys, the audience, the listening and the viewing audience, about how Trevor and I feel about things. But I'm going to go ahead and assume that Trevor feels the same way I do. I've been really, really clamping or chomping at the bit to talk about not just the previous Chiefs game, not just the game before that one either, but the fact that the Chiefs have really, really handed out some merciless L's, not only to divisional foes, not only to 3 divisional opponents within an 11-day span, outscoring those divisional opponents, those 3 divisional opponents, by a score of 104-46. But my God, have our guys over here in Kansas City, the Chiefs, El Jefes, shut the fuck up on some people, man, in the national media. They said, silencio, por favor, boys and girls, because we came into this last, I would say, 4 or 5 game stretch with everybody coming up with some sort of narrative, some sort of belief that the Chiefs are 100% finished. And look, I'll go ahead and preface it now and say that there were times in the season where the Chiefs looked dead in the water. They had a losing record through 7 weeks of the season. Of course they looked dead in the water. But the Chiefs started to win games. And when they started to do that, all of a sudden the shift went from they're dead in the water to, well, they're still dead in the water. They're just getting lucky in some of these games. Guys are going out with COVID, this.
Defense
They haven't
carrying you.
Yeah, the defense isn't for real. They're just on this little hot streak. There's nothing really legitimate about the Chiefs to this point. They've lost their way. And then style points started to become the focus. It wasn't actual points. It wasn't actual wins. Instead, it was about the style of how they were getting it done. Well, they weren't winning impressively. Meanwhile, the Patriots have a quarterback who threw three fucking passing attempts, wins a game on the road in Buffalo, and somehow they're the best team in the AFC. There's not a consistency here, and there's the reason why. Because not only are the Chiefs one of the most unique teams we have ever seen when it comes to how they're winning games, how they've been able to prolong what could be an actual dynasty if the Chiefs, in fact, get to the Super Bowl and win this Super Bowl, and that would be 2 Super Bowls in the last 3 years and have been to 4 straight, maybe 5 straight AFC championships. But it's also the fact that they have a quarterback that is as unique as we've ever seen as well. And Patrick Mahomes is finally starting to put these wins together, starting to put impressive performances together, and people don't know how to handle it because he did struggle early this season. But now that the Chiefs are in the absolute most pivotal time of the season, where they're not only at the end of the season in December games where things really start to ramp up, but now they're starting to face divisional opponents on a more consistent basis. And this was the most pivotal time in the Chiefs season, where they had not only, let me reiterate this, guys, not only did they have 3 straight divisional games, they had them in less than 2 weeks. Do you understand how difficult that is to take on? Especially for a team like the Chiefs that have been to at least back-to-back Super Bowls, and the season before that, an AFC championship game that went into overtime. The Chiefs have played more football over the last 4 years than anyone else. They have played more games than anyone else. The Chiefs have played more meaningful games than anyone else. They have had more pressure and expectation, fair or unfair, on their shoulders than anyone else over these last 4 years. And they're still going out here and taking W's on the road in big divisional games. The Chiefs have defeated all false narratives. And they did it with style. They did it ugly. They did it beautifully. They did it their way. I sound like Frank Sinatra right now, but they did it their way. And there's nothing left to say other than to give this team their flowers. Give them their praise. Is the season over, guys? No. But the Chiefs just took care of business in the biggest game of the season. We saw Chris Jones. We saw L'Jarius Sneed. We saw Willie Gay Jr. all be ruled out hours before the game. And we're sitting here going, well, the defense has been carrying the Chiefs, giving up about 11 points per game, 3 straight games of 9 points exactly. They've been doing their job. Now the Chiefs offense, who has been very inconsistent throughout the duration of this season, they're going to have to go out there and do it. And they fucking did it. And it wasn't just the offense. It was the Clydesdales. It was the ones that you knew you needed to rely on. Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill. The ones you knew needed to have big games. All three had monstrous games. And I don't want to get ahead of myself because I want to jump right into this one, Trevor. And I know Eddie's going to have his takes on this as well, but I definitely wanted to jump out the gate just absolutely running, man. Because you know who got ran up? The Las Vegas Raiders. Now, we're in a very unique situation here on the Spoken Podcast because we do a weekly show. And this is one of those unique weeks where when the Chiefs have a Thursday game, we have to talk about 2 games. And the beautiful thing about it was, not only did the Chiefs get to kind of coast into a victory or a short week against the Los Angeles Chargers, but we did too. We're not going to have to sit here and break down a lot about that Raiders game. You know why? Because the Chiefs beat the living shit out of them. Early and often. I told Trevor from the very beginning last week that I did not see any scenario where that was going to be a game where the Chiefs struggled to win and win at will and score at will and do what they needed to do to get out and get early and get themselves mentally, emotionally, and physically prepared for the Los Angeles Chargers. We all knew it was going to be a much tougher foe and it was going to be a much bigger game. And that's what the Chiefs went and did. They absolutely crushed the Raiders and crushed them early. And my favorite part is something everyone knows about. It's nothing unfamiliar, but this is really honestly the biggest reason why I even want to bring this game up to begin with, because it wasn't much of a game to really break down. It's the fact that the Raiders felt that they had right or some sort of clout or credence to come onto Kansas City's, onto Arrowhead's Field and dance on that logo. After all the shit that franchise has put themselves through this season alone, John Gruden getting outed as a blanketed racist, whatever you want to call it, gets fired. Henry Ruggs kills somebody driving absolutely insanely reckless and is now in prison. Damon Arnett gets himself literally fired from the team for threatening to kill somebody on IG Live. There have been so many problems on this team, and then they feel the nerve after getting blown out in their house just a few weeks before by this same Chiefs team to come into Arrowhead and dance on our logo. And the saddest part is, one of their biggest, the highest paid veterans, Yannick Ngakoue, a newly acquired Yannick Ngakoue, came into there and rallied the troops. And then Derek Carr and Marcus Mariota go on the field and do the same things and then want to try to act like they weren't really a part of it. Being cowards and acting like, oh, well, it wasn't really our thing. You motherfuckers attended it. You know what else you guys attended it? A hide tanning. That's what fucking happened on that field on both sides of the ball. How sad is it? You go out there and dance on a logo, and the next fucking play is a rip 6, as our guy Chris Broussard said on First Things First this week. A rip 6 from one Mike Hughes, who filled in the shoes of L'Jarius Sneed. That game was the most fun game I have watched as a Chiefs fan since the AFC Championship beatdown the Chiefs put on the Bills a year ago. That was a game I think the Chiefs absolutely needed. Quite frankly, man, I think us Chiefs fans needed. Because it was a nice, relaxing Sunday, man, where noon kickoff, we're not used to that. We hadn't had a noon kickoff since Week 7 against the Titans. We all know how that shit show of a game went. And then you see the way the Chiefs literally put what the Titans did to the Chiefs on the Raiders. And the Chiefs, once again, implemented themselves as the most dominating team in the AFC West and in the AFC on the Raiders. I had an absolute blast, Trevor. I know you got some quick thoughts on this one as well before we move to the Chargers game. What did you like? What did you take away from that Chiefs-Raiders game?
Well, first of all, yeah, I mean, as a fan, throughout the Chiefs' kingdom fan base, everyone kind of has their preferred rivalry. It's typically, no one really cares about the Chargers, but it's typically between the Broncos and the Raiders. Me personally, there's a lot of bad blood in my personal life with Raiders and Raiders fans. I don't get up for any Chiefs game more than I do Raiders week, especially it's a regular season game. Raider week is the biggest hyped up week for me, and it's nice as of late to have put some emphasis on the stepchild that is the Raiders of the AFC West. It's just a glorious sight, man, to see these guys go out there and try to hype themselves up and do whatever they can to give them an edge, but without knowing that edge was just more bullets and material for Patrick Mahomes and this offense and this defense to go out there and just continue the dominance that they've been doing for the last 6 weeks. Yeah, man, that was a sight to see. The first play, Mike Hughes, the guy that you said filling in for L'Jarius Sneed, is the one to force that fumble and to, take it to the crib. Yeah, man, there's nothing more pleasurable for me as a Chiefs fan just to watch us absolutely just embarrass the Raiders. I don't care if it's Arrowhead or Arrowhead West. It just embarrass. I mean, we did it at both locations this year, so that's been my highlight of this season for me. Is just if I know we go 2-0 against the Raiders and we do it in great fashion, man, I'm cool with that. Even when the Alex Smith years, he used to do it too against them, so that was fun. But yeah, I mean, it was a total domination game from start to finish on both sides of the field. Pat didn't have to do much, and those are good games when Pat doesn't have to do much and he can kind of just coast and go on autopilot and just get in, get out, clean and healthy. I'm cool with that. Just play an efficient game, guide the ship. The defense just completely did whatever they wanted to do against Derek Carr. Derek Carr was getting lit out there. The fans were great. They're bringing all that toxicity, you know what I mean? But, man, it was we could talk about every single aspect. I mean, special teams, everything was just on point. We were not losing that game. Set the tone early and just rode out that wave. So, overall, man, I was, like you said, it was fun.
Yeah.
And you were just sitting here just screaming and having fun, just dapping each other up every 5 seconds because there was something we were doing. So,
well, I don't sit down during Chiefs games.
Yeah,
that's a little rule I have. It was a couple weeks ago. We actually had some people over, and I think I was making some people nervous because I'm standing behind everybody. But see, that was the one game where I really felt like, you know what, I could just sit down, chill out, man, and have myself on. It was a very unique experience because, as we all know, the Chiefs don't blow teams out very often.
Yeah.
But the best part about it was, again, is the fact that the Chiefs, they already had so much to play for in that game, not just from seedings and standings wise. L'Jarius Sneed lost his brothers. We learned as the show was developing last week. We knew we weren't going to have him out there on the field. The Chiefs already had that rally cry for him, their brother. And then the Raiders go out there and do that. And I'm just sitting here trying to figure out, like, remember I know you maybe not have watched a lot of 24, that show 24 with Jack Bauer. No. But something I always use when it comes to the Chiefs is a Jack Bauer analogy. I watched every single episode of 24.
Did not watch one.
And it was, by the way, it was pulse pounding, dude. It was very much fun. You're a big Kiefer Sutherland guy. You should definitely enjoy it. But anyway, the thing about it was when I watched that show, and there's like 9-10 seasons of it, what got kind of irritating about it was how many times folks would doubt Jack Bauer, where he would save the day every fucking episode.
You don't say.
Yeah, and then there was this point of emphasis where it's like, well, Jack Bauer can't do it, or Jack Bauer's in cahoots with this, drug lord or some shit, and it always would end up being Jack saving himself from the narrative that people created for him, which was so unfair because he was a hero. The Chiefs, it's like because of the fact that sometimes they all the time have set this bar so high for themselves since 2018 that if they don't win 48-29, it's not a real Chiefs win, or it's not a good enough victory. It's never good enough because of what they've done, and people continually doubt them. And I'm not sitting here trying to exclude myself. I've been very critical on this team. But see, the standard is different with us because of the fact that we're expecting better from the Chiefs from a winning and losing standpoint. Do I want to see the Chiefs go out there and score 40 a game? Yes. That's fun.
Yeah.
That's a lot of fun. If the Chiefs are out there winning games and winning games that are important to what they're trying to do, which is extend their Super Bowl trajectory, how am I going to sit here and say, I know the win counts, but I'm not going to give it to them. I'm not impressed. Like, guys,
Yeah.
we have said this so many times throughout this season.
That's no different than taking a moral victory at a loss.
Thank you.
It's just the opposite side of it.
They're both bullshit.
Yeah.
We said this from the very beginning of the season, that we knew with the 17-game schedule, the Chiefs are going to be playing 17 Super Bowls because of the fact that whoever they're facing are looking at that game. Look at it like that. Look at the Bills. Maybe the best team the Chiefs have faced all season.
Yeah.
Maybe, right? They caught them at the worst time, and the Bills beat the brakes off the Chiefs. And what did the Bills do? They celebrated that like they fucking got to the Super Bowl. That was their Super Bowl. What have the Bills done since?
Ravens too, yeah.
What have the Bills done since? They've gone 3-5. You see this time again. These games against the Chiefs matter so much to these teams. And you see the way the Chiefs have to endure that each and every time. You saw in this Chargers game that we're about to talk in just a second, how much it took out of Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill to get that victory. Because they know that those teams are bringing their fucking A game every single week. The Chiefs cannot afford to go out there and play poorly. Because if they do, those teams can and will beat them. It isn't that those teams are better than them in the long run. It's the fact that it's an effort thing. And I'm not sitting here saying the Chiefs haven't given effort, but there was a real problem earlier this season that the Chiefs no longer have. They have pieces in the right place. I think there's a newfound confidence on the offensive side that even if they're not though scoring 34 or 48 points like they did the week before, they're still finding themselves. And I think they did finally find it, man, because everyone kept saying, well, the Chiefs are only scoring big points on the Raiders. They just dropped 34 in LA against the Chargers. Yeah. What are people going to say about it now, Trev?
I mean, are we jumping into the Chargers game?
Let's do it.
Okay. Well, I was going through a lot of different emotions, and honestly, I've been saving up a lot of things during the season. Especially as this defense has been progressing. I don't know if we found ourselves offensively yet. I think we know who we are. I just think there's certain individuals. I don't know if it's individuals or certain reasons we're holding this offense back a little bit because the defense is getting better, and I think we should go the opposite direction of that, because if our defense is that much better now, I feel like we need to be that much more aggressive offensively. And when I made that post, and I was talking to you a little bit about when you got home about the Chargers game, which was a great game. Look, both teams are playing good ball right now. Both teams faced off. It was a nail biter. Had to go to OT. We had to win in walk-off fashion. We'll touch on all of those details of the game, but my biggest issue is just the lack of aggression early. I don't know why. Look, and I made a post, and whoever saw it. It got a good amount of likes. It's my honest opinion. I don't think Patrick Mahomes is built to be a vanilla quarterback, and I think it hurts him and it hurts his brain, and it makes him second guess himself when we give him those kind of scripts. I just don't think that's. Look, I understand. You even said like we need to rein him in sometimes, reel him in sometimes. I understand that. Let's do that when we're up by 20. Let's do that a little bit when we're up by 20, 25 points. Because when this defense is playing that much better, that puts that much, and we're aggressively scoring points on teams, that puts that much more pressure on the opposition to have to keep up. And that's when they start to make mistakes. Because that's what we were doing against the Bills. That's what we were doing. We were scrambling, trying to make points again. We were turning the ball over 4 times against the Chargers. You know what I mean? So, and we weren't, and it's not like Pat's out here. Pat's never been a turnover machine. And it's only, ironically, it's been this year when we've been trying to play more, a vanilla offense and try to like reel him in a little bit, not let him work as much and do his only late in games when we absolutely have to, like this Chargers game. They let Pat just, you kind of saw the offense was just different. They let Pat just kind of work. He started to run. He started to scramble more and roll out. That's what makes Pat great. Granted, I don't want him to do that at all times, but I mean when we need him the most, Pat always shows up. Right? So I just feel like we should let him be that pretty much from the start of the game, and then we'll figure out defensively, let our defense do, because I just think it's going the wrong way. It's looking at it the wrong way when our defense has gotten this much better. Oh, let's get our points when we get them. Let's kick field goals. No. I think it's for me, I can see that it was irritating Patrick Mahomes. That he wanted to kind of go out there like the only time we scored before Pat actually went nuclear in that game late was the Michael Burton drive. Where we got him involved. And the Chargers were not expecting that. That was obviously an Andy Reid drawn-up drive. It was a beautiful drive. We went from end zone to end zone, but we got those 2 biggest plays of that drive were We're Michael Burton.
Look who arrives right as Trevor's cooking. Our guy, Mr. Eddie Ortiz, Mr. Yo, drops in. He's had himself a busy morning. And as I said at the beginning of the show, man, like, look, this is the way of this time of the year. We got stuff going on nonstop. Eddie's a busy man. How we doing today? Ed?
Pretty good. How about you guys?
What we did is we dropped our quick thoughts on the Raiders Chiefs game, which there wasn't really much to take over than, like I said, about my love for Yannick Ngakoue dancing alone, giving the Chiefs even more fuel to the fire. Trevor just started cooking on the Chiefs-Chargers game, but I definitely want to real quick get your thoughts, your takeaways on what you saw from the Chiefs-Raiders game, and then bring you into the Chiefs-Chargers game.
Look, man, you said it. Adding fuel to the fire. I think the Chiefs were already pretty fired up from what happened last year, obviously.
Yeah.
Obviously, having them go around your stadium in a bus, doing a victory lap pretty much, kind of filled up the Chiefs in a way. And obviously, the pregame ritual that the Raiders did at Arrowhead kind of fueled up that fire even more. Therefore, the Chiefs came out slaying. First play of the game, fumble for a touchdown.
Yeah, defense set the tone, man.
Defense, yeah, exactly.
5 turnovers.
It's incredible, man.
The defense went in there with we're gonna fucking win and we're gonna like destroy you. Patrick Mahomes had a good game. Obviously, the weapons had a good game. It was nice seeing Josh Gordon finally get that touchdown. Kind of get that dust off. Kind of get that feeling of
got it in right before he got COVID.
Right before COVID. But hopefully that helps him out. Help us in a home stretch. Obviously reaching almost the playoff time. Hopefully he can start getting hot. Hopefully that touchdown, like I said, dust a little bit of dust off. So, yeah, defense-wise, man, it's just a fucking bloodbath out there. Chris Jones is phenomenal. Mark Ingram. The addition of Mark Ingram, I know a lot of people have talked about it, but, man, we can't talk about it enough.
Right.
It's what changed this defense. This defense was missing a piece, and we didn't know what it was. Once Melvin Ingram came in, we knew that was the final piece to the puzzle.
Yeah.
So the way they performed against the Raiders, the way they pressure Derek Carr, I think it was 12 of 22 dropbacks in the first half, the most he's ever been pressured.
Chris Jones had 10 quarterback pressures at half.
At half, yeah.
That's just absurd.
It's fucking insane. Frank Clark was doing his thing. Melvin Ingram was doing his thing. Man, it was just fucking awesome to see. So overall, I thought it was a good game for the Chiefs.
And I'm glad you brought up Josh Gordon because I do want to say I hate to keep bouncing back and forth in the games, but this is how crazy it is when you have a Thursday night game to recap the next week after you already had a game to recap. But I do love the fact, and I made a big post on this on the Spoken as well on Facebook and on Twitter, that I was somebody that came into this Josh Gordon experiment going, I have zero expectations. I don't think he's a good football player anymore. I still have those reservations, but that doesn't change the fact that I'm happy for the man. Because of what he's gone through and seeing him get that touchdown. I know the Chiefs clearly manufactured that for him. And it was a house money kind of game because you're already up by 6 touchdowns. Why not kind of thing, So I get it, but I love the fact it happened. And I'm with you, Eddie. I hope there is something that builds from that. I hate the fact he caught COVID literally like 24 hours after doing that.
In the red zone. That's all I wanted him to be used for.
He caught a touchdown in COVID within 24 hours.
He has the height to where Mahomes can throw those high balls for him to get.
Yeah. And another thing I brought up before we got really into this, and I just could not wait. I've been chomping at the bit for this all week long, is the fact that the Chiefs just did something I've never seen a team do, which was win 3 straight divisional games within an 11-day period and not just beat them, but beat those teams 104-46. Like, that is unbelievably impressive for what the Chiefs have done, especially when they have all the pressure they've had over the last 4 years. They've played more games than anybody over the last 4 years. They've had bigger games than anyone over the last 4 years. For them to still do what they're doing is nothing short of impressive. I'm sick and tired of these narratives that are coming against this team because the Chargers game, to me, proved that more about what the Chiefs really are and what grit they have than the Raiders game. And the reason being because everyone has been hyping the Chargers up for years and years and years, and this season more than ever, because Justin Herbert is a legitimate franchise quarterback, a stud.
Some say he's better than Pat.
Yeah, and that was the narrative that started to come out. And then you see Patrick Mahomes come into this game and absolutely struggle. We knew before the game started the Chiefs were going to be without Chris Jones, who just had a monstrous game, maybe the best game of his career against the Raiders. You had Josh Gordon out, who just had the best game as a Chief by far. Literally doubled up his touchdowns and receptions within one game against the Raiders. And then you lose L'Jarius Sneed for back-to-back weeks.
Yeah,
Willie Gay, not to mention.
3 of our best defensive players.
Yes, 3 of the
Our
most
best linebacker,
productive.
our best defensive lineman, and our best corner.
And you're relying then back on Ben Neiman and Dan Sorensen, Nick Bolton, a rookie linebacker who's been very good this season, ends up having a great game. I think he had 14 tackles.
He had 10 tackles, but I think 2 were in the backfield.
I think I could swear he had 14 tackles total.
He had that batted ball. He had 2 batted balls. That one that led to the interception. He was all over the place, man. He was making good tackles. That breakup play on Jared Cook.
He had
all over the place.
10 solo tackles, 4 assisted, so 14 total. But yes, the point is,
he's all over the place.
Is that the Chiefs came into this game hobbled. And now the Chargers didn't have Asante Samuel, they didn't have Rashawn Slater. Yeah. Those are 2 big losses for them on both sides of the ball.
And Derwin James went out.
Derwin James was already banged up. Austin Eckler was banged up. So both teams were very banged up. But see, that's usually the story. Every single season at this time of the year, everyone's dealing with some serious injuries, things of that nature. Chiefs have actually been very lucky in the injury column and in the COVID column. So this was new for the Chiefs. But see, with all the pressure mounting, with the fact that this game was literally a swing game, Chargers win this game, they sweep the Chiefs, have the inside track to win the division with the easier schedule remaining. The Chargers had all the momentum really carrying their way, even though the Chiefs were on a 6-game winning streak. They had all the expectations on the Chiefs to win the game, so the pressure was on the Chiefs. The Chargers are playing with house money. Everyone's hyping up Justin Herbert. Everyone's saying the Chargers are next, that they've caught up with the Chiefs, that Justin Herbert's caught up with Patrick Mahomes because of the numbers similarities, all these things. And then Patrick comes into this game, Chiefs are up 10 points. And we're thinking, the Chiefs are going to blow out the Chargers. They're playing really well defensively. They force a turnover on Justin Herbert. Everything's clicking. And the Chiefs start to go right back into their offensive woes. And we're all thinking, fuck, here we fucking go again. And we don't have the defense this time to rally us around because we're missing 3 key starters. The Chargers are gashing us in the run game. Doesn't even matter who's running the ball. They're running all over the Chiefs. It's starting to look like one of those games again. And then what happens? And I know I'm skimming over a lot and we can retrace our steps and everything, but I want to get to the meat of it. I want to get to the meat of why this Chiefs team is going to win this Super Bowl this season and why I'm very confident they're going to go through the AFC, run through the AFC, and win and beat whoever they face in the NFC. For that exact reason, those last final 3 drives. If the Chiefs would have won this game in regulation with everyone healthy, I would still feel this way. But there'd be like, well, Lance, of course, they had all the healthy guys, and they were missing Rashawn Slater. There'd be that narrative. But see, the Chiefs went in there just as shorthanded. And everyone's talking about how the Chargers are the ones that shot themselves in the foot in this game. No, it was the Chiefs. Because everyone's talking about how the Chargers went for too many 4th downs. I actually loved that. If I was the single Charger fan in this world, I would be the one very happy about the Chargers doing that. Because you know what that's doing? That's setting a precedent that you don't let the Chiefs beat you. You're going to dictate who's winning this game. Yeah. They went for every fucking 4th down except the PAT. They went for the PAT, which was dumb.
They did it last time they beat us.
Yes. Yeah. They go for the 4th downs because they're not letting the Chiefs. They're not going to sit here and say, we're going to rely on field goals to beat the Chiefs because they knew that eventually Patrick Mahomes' offense was going to come alive. And what happened at the end? The Chiefs had 3 drives in 4th quarter and overtime, 3 consecutive of 75 yards or more, and they're all touchdowns. In fact, Patrick Mahomes put those 3 drives together in less than 8 minutes. Was 11 of 17 for 200 yards and 3 touchdowns. He did not have a good game. No. The first 3 quarters, 3.5 quarters, Patrick was not good. Nope. He was very, very conservative. He looked lost. The McCole Hardman throw where he literally buried it 6 feet under was inexcusable. Yeah. I was unbelievably pissed. I wanted to throw my phone through a fucking TV. Yeah. But just as we start to sit here and think, this team's done. You know what that game reminded me of real quick, and I want to get your guys' thoughts on this game, because I think this, like I said, this game mattered to me more than the Raiders one. This game reminded me of the Chiefs Super Bowl victory over the 49ers. Yeah. They were dead in the water. They're down in the 4th quarter. You're thinking the game's over. Minutes left. Mm-hmm. Minutes left. And then what do you see? The same Chiefs that we know is inside these guys that have been missing for the majority of this season come alive and reclaim their throne. That is literally what happened in the 49ers Super Bowl, in Super Bowl 54, and then in this game against the Chargers, where everyone's hyping this new quarterback up. And Jimmy G was getting this praise about, he outperformed Patrick Mahomes in that game. Damian Williams should have won Super Bowl MVP. But who's the one that put the stamp on it? It's amazing what we're seeing here, guys, because we talk about trios in NFL history about Troy Aikman and Michael Irvin and Emmitt Smith and Tom Brady, Randy Moss, and Gronk, and all these other great trios we've seen throughout the league, Walsh and Joe Montana and these guys. What about this trio, man? We're seeing a trio where Patrick Mahomes or Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce are the only duo currently in the NFL that have 1,000-yard seasons. Travis Kelce is now on his 6th consecutive 1,000 receiving yard season.
Fucking goat.
Tyreek Hill is having one of the most historic 5-year runs in the history of football. Maybe outside of Jerry Rice and Antonio Brown, we've seen anything like this. What Tyreek Hill is doing is simply unbelievable. And again, without 3 key defenders, the Chiefs' defense held the Chargers on 3 fourth down conversions. Shut them down. At the end of the first half, they were about to go up, 20 to 10? 20 to 10.
Yeah.
And Dan Sorensen, of all people, deflects the ball.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, the Chiefs are only down 3 points with the ball coming back to them. Now, things didn't go well, like I said. Their offense really clunked.
He could have almost picked
I'm sorry,
that
I'm
ball.
sorry, yeah. So the Chiefs are sitting here feeling really good about themselves. Offense continues to clunk. Defense continues to stop them. Clunk, clunk, clunk. And just when you think it's dead and over, they do the Undertaker. They get out of that fucking casket, man. The eyes start to roll around, and you see who we knew them to be, the Super Bowl champions. I think the Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl. This game proved it to me. Eddie, I want to start with you. What was your takeaways from this Chargers game? Because Trevor actually made some really good points, and I want to revisit those as well. But definitely give me your thoughts on this game, Eddie.
Man, real quick. You said the Chiefs. you pretty much said that the Chiefs won this game, but in my opinion, I think the Chargers lost this game. Why? Because they left points on the field. Yes, the defense, the Chiefs' defense made those crucial stops on 4th down, and I'll give them credit for that. But at that point, you don't have to go for every 4th down. Why? Because this Chiefs team is not the 2020 Chiefs team. This offense does not scare me. If I'm a head coach, this Chiefs team does not scare me. I'm not terrified of them. I get points, whatever points I can have. I'm not gonna sit there and go for every 4th down. I think that's where the mistake was for the Chargers, because they could have went up. They could have had extra 9 points had they gone for field goals in those. It was like 4th and 1, 4th and 3, and I can't remember what the other one was. But take the points. Take what they give you, because if this Chiefs team, what have this Chiefs team proven this season so far, that you can beat them with field goals. So take the field goals. Take those points. Put the pressure on the offense. You know the offense is not clicking. You know the offense is struggling. They've shown it this game throughout the first 3 quarters. 4th quarter is when they really, really popped off because they had to. I think the Chargers kind of, said, okay, we got it in the pocket. I think, well, we're just going to do this and this and this, and we'll take the W. Obviously, that didn't work out as planned. So I think the Chargers kind of shot themselves in the foot on this game. I think the Chargers had every possible scenario to win this game, and they blew it.
I'm going to reply to that real quick. I definitely want to reply to that, because there's a couple things. One, I understand where you're coming from on that, because you do think, okay, you want to take the sure points. But something Brandon Slee said that has been echoed by so many former players is, I want to give my team the opportunity of winning these games. There's not going to be a single player on that team that felt that they lost that game or that their coach failed them. They failed from executing the plays. So it's no different than if they failed to execute on 3rd down. It's the same thing. So what I'm saying is that you have to give the Chiefs some credit here, because what the Chargers did is they realized, because they're divisional foes, what that offense can and will do. So what they did is they said, if we convert these 4th downs, we're for sure winning this game. We kick these field goals, this Chiefs offense comes alive, all of a sudden we're trading 3s for 7s. And that's what happened. That's why they lost the game, because the Chiefs came alive, not because they didn't convert the 4th downs.
They lost because they couldn't convert. They lost because they couldn't execute to what they wanted to do.
Yeah, but I'm going to give that praise to the Chiefs defense.
That's what I'm saying. When did you start giving the credit to the Chiefs,
the Chiefs defense, they did great for stopping them. But at the same time, you take the points. You take the points that they give you.
But you have a hobbled defense you're facing. You got to remember, no Chris Jones, no Legarius Sneed, no Willie Gay. You should go for those 4th downs.
I get it.
That's how the Ravens beat the Chiefs.
I get it. But if you saw on those three turnover on downs on the 4th and goals, they went for the pass instead of for the run. I don't know why the Chargers would do that. if they knew that the run was even Eckler did a fourth.
So there was really the play calling, not necessarily going on fourth down that you had a problem
Yes,
with. Okay.
exactly. So that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying that the Chargers beat themselves. They shot themselves on the foot because they knew that they can run through this defense like it was nothing.
But the second part
they almost put up 200 yards rushing.
Yeah.
Therefore, you can just.
I agree with that. I do agree with that.
Eckler did a phenomenal job. The only run he had in the end zone, in the red zone. And he fucking cashed in.
I want to go to Trevor real quick before I say this, but here's another part I wanted to come at you about the take you had about how the Chargers lost this game. It's also the fact that the Chiefs, again, as I said just a minute ago, the Chiefs came out of the gate 10-0. So if anything, the Chiefs are the one that should have lost the game technically, as far as who shot themselves in the foot. Everyone's sitting here saying on the national platform that the Chargers lost the game. But I disagree because the Chiefs are the ones that came out with a double-digit lead. So it was really the Chiefs that were losing the game.
The Chiefs were trying to give the Chargers the game. Patrick Mahomes turned it over and they immediately scored a touchdown right away because he gave the ball to them on the 5-yard line. If they didn't score that touchdown,
after the defense held the Chargers on fourth down,
this game's not close if he doesn't give them that touchdown.
Right.
He threw a pick on the 5, and then they immediately scored Austin Eckler.
So it was really the Chiefs.
That's us trying to hand the win, and we still overcame that. Yeah. That's the Chiefs winning the game.
Yeah.
Nah,
that's fine. I get it. I agree with you on the play calling aspect. That if they'd have kept running the ball, I think they're converting those fourth downs.
Like if the Chargers convert those fourth downs, we're not talking about, and then the Chiefs still win. The Chiefs win. The Chiefs are winning them. But the fact the Chargers failed themselves.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That the Chargers lost because they fell to what they were doing. I get that they're putting respect on who is in the opposite side. Patrick Mahomes deserves that respect because he's earned that respect. But at the same time, you got to stay with the present. You can't stay with the past. 2020 happened already. 2019 Super Bowl champions happened already. We're in 2021. If anything, this Chiefs team has showed us is that this offense is not who they are or who they can be this season.
They literally just showed us that last night. But
we're second in the league in points right now.
In fourth quarter. But what I'm saying is, throughout this whole entire season, the main focus has been the offense has not been clicking. Yes, they click in the most crucial parts. Yeah, but you can't be afraid of a team that only clicks at a certain time of the game. Why? Because you can put them away, and they're not going to catch up. And I think that's what the Chargers felt at. They felt that getting the points that they could get the field goals if you can. This Chiefs team is beatable, and I think that's why the Chargers failed at winning things, and that's why I think they lost the game.
Yeah, I mean it's easy to play the Monday morning quarterback and decide. I'm giving the Chiefs defense a lot of kudos for overcoming the lack of starters we had out there. I think what the Chiefs did, I think we forced the Chargers to play a run heavy offense, and they bit into it. I think we had guys deep. We played a lot of cover 2 deep safeties, which is why Tyron didn't have a big game because Tyron was not really involved with a lot of the scrum and the blitzes. They had Tyron back a lot of the game. We took away those deep balls for the most part. They got a couple in there because the Mike Williams, guys like that are great. They're huge. So they're going to get a couple, but they ran the ball like 80% of the time. And then it was a very bend, don't break defense. And I felt our defense kind of let them play into what we wanted. Because when things got tight and they wanted to go 4-on-4, then we buckled down. Then we blitzed. At the end of the game, when they were on their heels, we were blitzing the shit out of Herbert. We were making it very uncomfortable. Herbert didn't have a very good game at all. He took advantage of some good field position that he got put into immediately off the first. And he couldn't even score on that first kick return. And then Pat gives him the ball, and then they run the ball in. So, Herbert didn't do anything special in my mind. There was a couple good throws, obviously. He's going to have those. But overall, I'm giving this Chiefs defense a lot of credit, man.
So what was it? You said the kick return. Yeah. Unfortunately, back-to-back plays, 2 of the Chargers players got hurt. And then the second one was the fucking drop where he knocked himself.
We dealt with that ourselves, man. That's part of the game.
But I'm saying that's 6 points that obviously he wasn't able to hold on.
Yeah, and we threw a McCole Hardman touchdown into the dirt. That's part of the game. There was give and take on both sides. But my biggest issue was the offense of the Chiefs. I think we should have blown them out. I really do. I think we should have blown them out. There was no business giving that ball on the 5-yard line. Pat should never have turned that over. That was ridiculous. Pat should have had an extra touchdown on the board with McCole Hardman. We should have blew these guys out by 20.
Yes.
We talking about them leaving field goals on
they
left field goals on the board. We left touchdowns.
And that's
on the
why
board.
I wanted to segue over because Trevor was saying something
we were
as
the better
you arrived,
team.
Eddie.
We were the better team.
That I I find very interesting. I think that's actually the most interesting aspect to the entire conversation about this game and about the Chiefs moving forward is how exactly they go about allowing or not allowing Patrick to play. And what I mean by that is, and I don't want to take Trevor's thunder because I actually would like for you, if you want to reheat that take, man, you go right the hell ahead.
There's a lot to go into it.
Because I like the fact that what you brought up, Trevor, is something that actually saved the Chiefs in this game. Because I'm actually more on your side on this. I actually think that was the Chiefs' game to lose and to win. Because, again, when you set a 10-0 lead, you're setting the pace for you to win that game, and you should dictate how that game goes from that point on. But the Chiefs couldn't get the run game going. They turned the ball over 2 times in the middle of that game. There was a lot of issues the Chiefs allowed, like Trevor said, was literally trying to give that game to the Chargers. And then the Chiefs go in there and ignite offensively, and they just look like 2 completely different teams in 2 different tiers. As good as the Chargers were, when the Chiefs clicked offensively, there was nobody in the NFL that's beating that team. That's why I said it wasn't that the Chargers did shoot themselves in the foot. I agree with you, but it was execution, not decision making.
No, I'm not saying it's just. I'm not saying.
That's what I'm saying. That's why
I would go for the 4th and 1. That's fine.
Because they did that already.
But it's just the execution of the play. I think if they would have ran the ball instead of like trying to pat, I don't know why.
But we had stacked boxes. We were stacking the box against the run.
I get it, man.
And a turnover on the goal line when they dove into the end zone.
Yeah, when they try to run it in the goal line, we turned the ball over.
We talk about the 2 turnovers that the Chiefs have, 3 turnovers, but the Chargers, I believe, had 5 turnovers that game.
I think it was 3. It was a fumble, interception from Hurt.
The 2 4th and.
You're talking about total. I'm sorry. Turnover on downs. I apologize. Yeah.
So,
3 4th downs they did not execute on.
Yeah,
They were
so
2 of 5, I think.
I think they had 5 turnovers that game. So,
no, you're correct.
So I mean, that's what I'm saying.
And that's what I'm saying. But you have to, like I said, where do we draw the line from giving the Chiefs credit and saying the Chargers lost? Because that's where I think that's where Trevor's point comes in about letting Patrick Mahomes play more of an aggressive style. Because when you saw Patrick playing the way he's comfortable, the offense could not be stopped.
And like I said on the text group, like I get what he's saying as the aggressive, but that was towards the 4th quarter after they were playing that conservative football style, because that led to the Chargers closing the gap then to the receivers, to everything, allowing Tyreek Hill to do his routes, Travis Kelce to get open, and having those 20 yards, 15 yards, and then obviously the Travis Kelce winning touchdown. So I think playing conservative allowed for the game to open towards the end, which I think it's a wonderful thing that the Chiefs do. I think they should do that every game, to where they play conservative, force the team to kind of close the gap, and then towards the end, just fucking explode and be aggressive.
Or, now that our defense is actually playing good football, be aggressive as hell offensively, take more chances offensively, let Pat be himself now, not have to reel him in. If you do that, that puts that much more pressure on the other team to have to chase your points. And that's what made 2019 so great, because Pat did not have to get reeled in. They let Pat go work. That defense got better as the year went on, just like it's getting better, even better at this point than 2019 ever was. And now our defense can go out there and pin their ears back and get after the opposing quarterback, because they know they're going to be pressing.
But then you can come
Pat's
back.
struggling because we're trying to take away certain things that he does.
And I get it, but then you can come back and say at the beginning of the season, they were being aggressive. The Chiefs wanted to be aggressive for the first 5-6 weeks. 7 weeks.
But why did we feel the need to do that?
We just kept turning the ball over.
Because our defense was bad.
But then it led to a more conservative playing style.
You need to be more conservative when your defense is terrible, because you want to keep the ball in your possession as long as possible, because you know your defense is going to go give it up. Now that our defense is being great, I think that mindset should be flipped. We should be more aggressive offensively, because we know our defense is going to go get after these teams. And the teams are more prone to make mistakes when they're pressing. That's why obviously I'm not going to put all the early turnovers in this year, and the turnovers – obviously, this last game, we're kind of on Pat. There was a couple bad. That was a bad fumble, if you want to call it a fumble or not. But that interception was unacceptable. But a lot of the early tip passes and the things that happened, and the way the offense was scrambling, we were trying to make Pat play this prototypical Alex Smithian type of offense, and it doesn't work for him. It just doesn't work for him. Gotcha. I just don't think so. I think that makes him second guess himself. When he can play free, there's not a scarier player in the NFL when Pat's playing free backyard style football. That's what makes him great. That's what makes the likes of Brett Favre great, Aaron Rodgers great, these off-script quarterbacks. That is the most scariest thing. When a quarterback is great off-script and the play breaks down and your blitz doesn't get there, you're fucked, especially against Patrick Mahomes.
And what I wanted to say in response, Trevor, to your take about the aggressiveness is This is it's so weird how this has become a nuanced conversation, because I think coming into the season, the thought of not having Patrick Mahomes being aggressive would be so outlandish. It would be absurd to think that you'd want to play an offense where it is more conservative. You want to do things that are different than what you're accustomed to seeing from Patrick since 2018. But I think there's truth to a little bit of both of what you guys are saying, because of the fact that
it's not black and white.
There's context to the matchup.
Yeah.
So, for instance, you're going against the Raiders. You do not go in there with a conservative style of offense.
Oh,
you're going to chuck the ball all over the field, play old school Patrick Mahomes vintage football, where he's just chucking all the field. We saw that in both Raiders games. But against the Chargers, even though they don't have a good defense, they've been playing better defense. But with that kind of defense, you want to have more of a balanced attack. And I think Eddie made a good point about that, about how you want to bring the defense in, especially with safety play like they have with Derwin James. You want to bring him in and bait him in a little bit with the run style, the quick screens like they were utilizing a lot early in that game.
Yeah.
And then let Patrick eat them alive with Tyreek Hill's awesome off-script route runnings like he was doing.
I want to see more no huddle. I want to see more press.
Right.
Like the offense getting out there and just like a lot of motion, moving guys around.
The one consistent thing that the Chiefs need to start doing with the offense is getting the ball to Travis Kelce early. And why I say that, I know that sounds like, well, no shit.
Quick slants.
But it has difficult for them to get the ball to Travis because the defense has been mugging him. So what I said, I was talking to Clay Windler during the game, our producer, Clay Windler, and owner of Red Tribe Cinema. There was something I said in this about this game at half that I said I wanted the Chiefs to start doing more. Was utilizing Travis Kelce the way they did against the Raiders in the first game in Week 10. He was lined up in H-back and shotgun formation, right? And it looked like he was going to be chip help. He looked like he was just going to be there to help protect Patrick and extend the drive. And then he would pop out on these little bubbles. And if nothing was working, you dump it off to him and let him try to create something, and you get the guards center and tackles out there in front of him and let him try to create. And what do you know? In that second half against the Chargers, especially in that fourth quarter and overtime, you saw Travis Kelce line up an H-back a couple times. And what Happened? You saw Patrick dump off, dink and dunk a little bit. So those are aggressive plays, but in a different way. Because you're having your tight end set up in that way.
I'm not saying you got to throw 40-yard bombs every time. Aggressive is not bad.
So it's context, because it's really going to come down to how the defense plays you. Because if you're playing cover 2, you'll be damned if Patrick Holmes is out there chucking the ball 25 yards in the air.
So that's why I like a little conservative, because I think when the Chiefs get played with the cover 2, it kind of forces them to be conservative in a way, but at the same time they can be aggressive in the conservative way.
And to Trevor's point,
that's my point. I'm not simplifying it to just go score points. You know what I mean? That's not what I'm saying.
Because to your point, look how masterful it was when Patrick Mahomes was doing what he was doing at the end of the game, where he's chucking the ball over the damn field, and the Chargers were just simply worn out on the defensive side. They did not have the bodies to do it.
They were shook in that fourth quarter and overtime.
And here's the best part. The game ending, the walk-off hit was Travis Kelce, running the ball over the field, right?
Playing flag football out there.
Patrick Mahomes threw that ball 6 yards in the air.
Yeah.
That wasn't a big, humongous throw. Patrick literally baited the defense because Clyde was over there to the left. He baited him, looked like he was going to throw it to him, and then just dumped it off to Travis, and Travis just did what he does.
Yeah.
And that is when the Chiefs are at their utmost best on offense, because I love seeing Patrick throw the ball 60 yards in the air and Tyreek's just running down the sideline, grabs it, and it's a touchdown. Those are great plays. But the best plays usually always end up being the ones where Patrick throws the ball 5-10 yards in the air and he lets their guys create in space. McCole Hardman started to become an effective player. He would have had 2 touchdowns in this game.
The last couple weeks we've been getting our running backs. Darrell Williams and Clyde both have been eating in the passing game.
That's why I told you guys from the very beginning, when this big emphasis of getting a wide receiver 2 to me was overblown. Not that I wouldn't welcome it, but it's not the end-all be-all for this offense, because of the fact you're seeing guys getting open in space. You hit them, they catch the ball, because, again, the Chiefs still lead the league in drop passes. Yeah. If they don't drop the ball and Patrick is hitting these guys in space, there is no one stopping this offense, no matter what style of offense they're playing.
But for me, my examples are like the Packers game, the Washington game, the Giants game. There was drive after drive. You knew we were going out there just to milk clock, maybe get a field goal. It did not feel like we were going out there trying to score touchdowns. That's my biggest beef. Like, our defense, we knew our defense was owning that game. I don't like wasting offensive possessions. And I know that irritates Pat. I can see it, man. When I'm watching Pat in those games, he wants to score. But I feel like someone's in his ear like, you know what, just get chunk plays every once in a while. Let's run the ball. Let's go milk this clock. Let's get in. Let's get out. Let's get our field goals and take what the defense gives you. Sometimes you don't have to take what the defense gives you. Sometimes you can go give something to the defense, right? And they have to react.
Yeah.
Not the other way around. It doesn't always. Dude, we've seen this so many times in the past years with Patrick Mahomes. It didn't matter what defense was being played. Pat moved around, extended plays, made things happen, and the connection between him and Tyreek and the connection between him and Travis Kelce when the plays break down and the defenders got to freak out and try to stay with those two guys. They don't know where they're going. That's when the greatest plays in this offense happen. That's what happened in the Chargers game, right? That's what I want to see more. I want to see a little bit. I'm not saying off script all the time, but let Pat kind of stir the pot a little bit and work his magic because that's when he's the best. I feel like if we try to make Pat this. Even in times, I get it. You want to reel them in at times, depending on the game script. If we're up, 20-plus points, I feel like that's fine. You want to try to get a little more run-heavy, whatever. But I feel like we need to be. I want to see more aggressive starts to games instead of trying to play like we had that 10-point lead. We were playing like we were up by 30. I did not like that at all, and I feel like that frustrates Pat. And when Pat gets frustrated, he starts to get in his own head, and that's when the McCole Hardman play. He never had a hold of the ball. He was in his own head. I think it was a late snap. He was expecting to snap earlier, so it threw him off. Whatever. That's when turnovers come to me in my mind. I think that's when earlier in the year, Pat was too much in his head because we were trying to play conservative. We were trying to hold on to the ball offensively a little more, dink and dunk, and play this safe offense. When Patrick-led offenses aren't really safe offenses,
Right.
They're fiery offenses. They're gunslinger offenses. These are, and Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce are not the safe vanilla offensive weapons. These are explosive, big play guys, big play downfield, yards after the catch downfield type of players. These are not guys that are, want to catch 5 to 6 yard passes. These guys, I just feel like, especially as this year goes in, get this offense rolling, get Pat rolling, get Pat, back to who we know he is. Heading into this postseason, nothing's more scarier, man. When the Chiefs defense is playing as good as it's been and Pat is rolling, I want to see more of that heading into the postseason. That's all I'm saying.
I obviously agree with everything you said, and I don't want to be the guy that sits here and tries to dissect how Patrick should play because I love everything about what Patrick does on the field. And I was the last guy to criticize the way he was playing earlier in the year. But something I would like to see a little bit more, and I know, Eddie, you probably got a lot more to do today, and I know you got to probably bounce out again, man, but I would like to see the next evolution of Patrick Mahomes' game is to play a little bit more under center. And the reason why is because not
less shotgun?
Not to make the comparison between him and Justin Herbert, because I'm going to get to that in just a second, because that's the next part of this I want to talk about.
Yeah, they're very different.
But there was something I did like about what I saw from Justin Herbert and the offenses where you saw him under center. There's more of a play action availability there.
Yeah.
I think that helps bring the defense in. Like Eddie said, he wants to see force the defenses in a little bit more. When Patrick is constantly in shotgun, that does two things. It makes the defense guess that 80% of the time you're going to throw the ball because the Chiefs are already a pass-happy offense to begin with.
Right.
But also the fact that when you're RPOing, you guys have seen this in the Chiefs run game, especially in this Chargers game, they couldn't get anything going because you're not giving the running back the opportunity to run downhill because they're starting in more of a delay anyway. And with Clyde and Darrell not being fast running backs, I feel like that kind of sets the run game even further back, and it doesn't really give them a chance to excel. So I would like to see a little bit of more of an under-the-center offense at times. And obviously Patrick is great in shotgun. That's where he's most comfortable. That's where he's from. But I want to see a little bit more of that, and Eddie will hopefully see in just a little bit. But yeah, sure. I want to get your thoughts on that real quick before we jump into the Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes comparisons, if you will, when it comes to how these quarterbacks are moving forward in their careers.
Like I said, Pat is just not a prototypical quarterback, man. He's kind of a breed of his own. He has a mix of all that. But I think when we try to make him into that, that's when he kind of starts to get in his own head, like, oh, I need to do this, I need to do that. I think when Pat's playing his style of football, it's beautiful. It's like we discovered some kind of new alloy, some kind of new metal, some kind of beautiful gem in the ground. Like, what is this? We don't even know what color this is. That's who Patrick Mahomes is, man. Like, he's an anomaly. We've never seen anyone have this good of a start, and now him throwing for 4,000 and 30 to maybe 40 touchdowns in a season. That's his down year, and we want to shit on him for it. It's incredible. Like we've never seen anything like this. Granted, he got glorified early and all these things. I mean, some other things are happening for Herbert too. I mean, I think he's getting a little too much praise. I mean, granted, he's having, as far as I just don't think it's fair to compare him to Pat right now. Either way, but between the two quarterbacks, I mean, I like Herbert. I'm a big fan of Herbert. I think he plays football he's a very big individual. He's got a very strong arm, maybe the strongest arm in the NFL. His arm is incredible as far as like just it's almost Brett Favre like, where he just throws it so hard it almost makes it hard for the receivers to catch it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I don't think he has the best arm talent, but arm strength, he's up there. Comparing the two, though, what are you trying to get at as far as like,
okay,
what makes them great, or
no? Okay, so the comparisons to me, and I made a post about this earlier this week or directly after the game. The comparisons to me aren't there. Yeah. And it's not a disrespect to Justin Herbert.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
This is almost like, and I'm giving a lot of praise to Herbert right now, but this is almost like the LeBron-Kobe debate. That when I sit here and say that under no circumstances is Kobe a better basketball player than LeBron James, people automatically assume that I hated Kobe Bryant or that I think he sucks at basketball. No. Yeah. There are just guys that are just better at what they do than other guys, and those other guys are still greats, all-time greats. Justin Herbert is one of the most talented quarterbacks I've ever seen play football. Yeah. He has one of the best arms. He's one of the best athletes at the quarterback position. He's poised. He has composure. He's all class. He's got everything you'd want in a quarterback. Yeah. And yet he's still not better than Patrick Mahomes at football. And I hate the fact, and I brought this up on the show last week, I'm going to continue to bring it up because it's valid to me. I don't think Patrick Mahomes gets the respect as a Super Bowl champion.
I agree.
I don't think he gets the respect of being an MVP and a Super Bowl MVP. People still talk about, has Herbert caught? I mean, this is real. I can bring up the receipts just from these last few days of people saying Justin Herbert is just as good at football as Patrick Mahomes. He may have surpassed him. Who's the best quarterback in the league right now under the age of 30?
Flip the Chargers game around, and the results and the game plans and the gameplay, everything was completely flipped. The way the Chargers played was the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes got outdueled in the end by Justin Herbert, and Justin Herbert went out there and took the game in OT.
Right.
What would people be saying right now?
Justin
Herbert being the best quarterback in the league right now.
Yes, Justin Herbert completed under 60% of his passes, had an 82 quarterback rating in this game.
Failed
Patrick Mahomes threw twice as many yards, twice as many touchdowns, and we're sitting here, and it's not even like, again, I'm not even trying to disrespect Justin Herbert because I'm a big fan of this kid, and I think he's already a top 10 quarterback. But to sit here and try to make the comparisons to me is just them simply doing what they've always tried to do.
You know what it is?
They're trying to find that rival.
Well, it's not even just that. I think with Patrick Mahomes as an individual, I think he was so glorified early for his early success. Now it's doubly, he's doubly being shit on now for his failures, if you want to call them that. Any kind of mistake Patrick Mahomes makes right now is going to be under a magnifying glass because he was so glorified early on. Now he set that standard for himself. Now any mistake that he makes, anytime he's outdueled by any quarterback, which is rare, anytime another quarterback is on the rise, who do they immediately compare him to?
I mean, I see.
Who's the best quarterback under 26? Who's the best? You know what I mean?
Like, and this is the problem we have here because, and it's not even the fact that we're Chiefs fans here talking about the quarterback we love. It's simply bogus.
Yeah.
Because I saw people on Twitter literally this morning bitching about how many yards after catch, how many yak yards Patrick Mahomes benefited off of this game. He had 219 yak yards, right? Okay. There are 4 games this season that Tom Brady's had more than that. Like, this is the part, we're not even...
Or Marcellus Wiley talking about Patrick Mahomes had a couple games this year without throwing a touchdown. I'm like, dude, Tom Brady won a Super Bowl without throwing a touchdown.
Yeah, two. He had 2 touchdowns. He had two different Super Bowls. Tom Brady's won with 0 touchdowns. Okay, but real quick, I don't like bringing up Skip Bayless because I think he's just a caricature. I just think he's just a character on TV. Yes, yeah. But something he even tweeted out immediately after the game that just got me so upset was how it's because it's so dishonest. Is when they say, well, Patrick Mahomes significantly benefits off having Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill. No shit. But here's the thing, Trevor. Do you know that Travis Kelce has only played 47% of his career games with Patrick Mahomes as his quarterback, yet has 55% of his receiving yards and 58% of his touchdowns with Patrick Mahomes? So who's really benefited more off of who? Second of all, I'm gonna just list some names off. And you tell me if these are some good players, okay? And just tell me if you can... All right, I'll say a name. Tell me if they're a Hall of Famer, okay?
Gotcha.
Randy Moss.
Hall of Famer.
Gronkowski. Mike Evans. Antonio Brown.
Yep.
Okay. How about Wes Welker? Probably going to make the Hall of Fame, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. And these middle-tier guys are really good players. Julian Edelman. Chris Godwin. Leonard Fournette. How about Corey Dillon? Those are pretty good players, right? Yeah. Those are all Tom Brady teammates on offense.
Offensive linemen and defensive
Or how about
players,
the
too.
fact that Tom Brady, not one time in his 22-year career, has had a defense that ranked worse than 17th, and that was only twice. We're sitting here talking about Patrick Mahomes' weapons as the reason why he's great, yet in games without Tyreek Hill, he has a 125 quarterback rating and a 6-2 record. What? I'm so sick and tired, and this is why guys, I know, Trevor, you've even jumped my ass about this, and I understand it because it's very early on. But this is why I've told you guys that Patrick Mahomes is the greatest quarterback of all time, because of the fact that he is held to a standard unlike anybody else.
Because he's the anomaly. Because at the start, it's like a gift and a curse because he's had the greatest start to any NFL player ever, especially the toughest position in football. And he's overachieved. Not overachieved because he deserves every bit of achievement he's gotten because it's been by his hand. But it's heavy as the crown, man. You know, that's a cliche term for a reason because it's true. Because it's common knowledge. But people just don't. He's low-hanging fruit. He's on the top, but he's also low-hanging fruit for all the haters. Because like I said, any little mistake he makes, any little critique, it's gonna be magnified.
And what does that remind you of? And this is crossing leagues.
Yeah, you already know.
This is crossing leagues,
yeah.
And I know that's a rule people don't like to break, but I'm gonna break it.
Yeah.
This is Patrick Mahomes is becoming LeBron James of the NFL
already,
straight up.
Yeah.
Where
I mean, you age
he's
faster,
so great.
in the NFL,
I'm just saying though, he's so great quick. Mm-hmm. And then there's these comparisons of the all times where by year 6 and 7, LeBron was already being compared to Michael Jordan, and it was becoming a valid argument that the old heads and the people that did not want to relinquish that crown started hating intentionally LeBron James and trying to find ways to diminish and downplay what he's done and what he continues to do. It's the same thing with Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady or anybody else that you want to call the GOAT at the quarterback position or the NFL position.
He's the crown, man.
That now that Patrick Mahomes has done what he's done so early and been so great early that when he has a game of 410 yards and 3 touchdowns, not to mention maybe his biggest play of the game is a 32-yard run, leading the team in rushing yards as well.
The Chargers lost that one.
Yeah,
Pat didn't win it.
Dude, I saw several people on the national level saying that was a C+ game.
Yeah, I know.
So if that's a C+ game, what's an A+ game? Because no matter what Patrick does, it's never going to be good enough to win over these folks. That's why I know he's held to a standard that no one else can match. Not Aaron Rodgers, not Tom Brady, not Peyton Manning, not Drew Brees, not Dan Marino, not Brett Favre, not Joe Montana, not John Elway, any of those other guys.
It's because the honeymoon phase is over.
Yeah.
Because Pat shot his load so early. You know what I mean? Everyone was like... Because remember when he first came out, everyone was swooning over Patrick Mahomes.
It was the fun new story.
And now that we lost a Super Bowl, we made it again back-to-back years, we lost a Super Bowl. Now everyone wants to be critical. Now everyone was, they're winning because their defense now. Everyone wants to make it into a thing, even though Tom Brady's built most of his career off of great defenses. We can go there, but... You know, it's just amazing, bro. Like I said, heavy is the crown. Everything he does is magnified now. It's
imagine losing 3 Super Bowls to Eli Manning and Nick Foles. And back to the Justin Herbert situation. And I just want to say this real quick, and then we can move on to another segment while we wait for our guy, Mr. Mark Gunnels, who's going to be joining us momentarily. Another aspect that I wanted to talk about when it comes to the Justin Herbert and Patrick Mahomes conversation, and why I think it's actually unfair to Justin Herbert, is the fact that Justin Herbert just simply hasn't accomplished enough. You're talking about a guy that has not only never won a playoff game or played big in the playoffs, he's never been to the playoffs yet. Yeah. And he more likely will this year, but there's still that chance they don't make the playoffs because the AFC is so tough this year. Everyone's talking about the NFC, but the AFC still, there's what? Every team except the Texans and Jaguars, or Jaguars and Raiders have winning records.
Yeah, because even the Steelers have a chance to make it still.
Every team except those 3 have a winning record.
The Colts beat the Patriots today?
They would be the 5 seed, I think.
They're immediately in a wild card spot.
Yeah.
That shakes everything up too, especially the Chargers.
And then I think they're only a game behind the Titans after that too. So
I think the Titans could be a team that'll miss out.
Justin Herbert is still not done any of those things. Yeah. Never won an MVP. Sure as hell's never won a Super Bowl MVP. So
he's been on some poorly ran teams. But
I get it. Yeah. My point though is that we need to allow Justin Herbert to do what Patrick Mahomes has done, because we weren't sitting here talking about Patrick Mahomes being historically great until he had one of the most historically great seasons, one of the best historic seasons ever, goes and wins a Super Bowl the next year and a Super Bowl MVP, and then leads his team to another Super Bowl. You got to start doing things like that, because Aaron Rodgers, as gifted as he was, if he didn't have that 2010-2011 season when he did what he did, we're not sitting here talking about him the same way. We're not talking about Drew Brees the same way if he didn't go there and kick the shit out of the Colts and do what he did with the Saints and put up historic numbers. Justin Herbert is now doing things that young players have never done before, where he had back-to-back 30-touchdown seasons to start his career. But he's got to build on that before we can start sitting here and putting him in the tiers of the greatest quarterbacks in football.
Yeah, and I just love, too, going back to Patrick Mahomes, I just love, because this week, we've been hearing, Marcellus Wiley and all these talking heads and talking about how Patrick Mahomes has a career high in interceptions, a career lows in this, career lows in this. Career lows got to occur some point, guys. That doesn't mean he can't get better or fix things. And most quarterbacks have their rough struggles and rough patches in their early years.
Yeah.
Pat didn't. Pat took this league over from his first start.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's just different. He's an anomaly to this league, and we're just not used to seeing it. So I just think that he's so easily critiqued because he's so great already. This is Dan Marino is probably one of the best examples you can get as far as a young quarterback being great early, and having success. I mean, I know Big Ben had a Super Bowl early in his career, but he didn't do much after that until he got better and that roster got much better. And that was a defensive team, if we're being honest. That was an absolute juggernaut. Anyway, Pat is just the Herbert Pat conversation. It's fun because they're divisional rivals, and I think that will be the true division rivalry for a while here and within this division, because I don't think Derek Carr is ever going to be that guy. I don't know if Denver maybe drafts a quarterback and they find that's a legit roster over there. So that could definitely, depending on what they do in the draft here soon or the next couple of years, that could become something too. But I'm a Justin Herbert fan. I love watching him play football. He throws a great ball. He's tall. He's like Joe Flacco body type, but he throws the ball, kind of like a Tom Brady. He has a very good tight spiral, good deep ball. He's pretty mobile too. So I'm going to give the kid his flowers, man. I think he's a very good quarterback. I think he's getting better. And if that coaching staff and that franchise and front office can make some moves and get keep progressing as they've done already this year. I mean, I think they're going to make the playoffs this year, which is a big leap for them. They are playing with house money in a lot of ways. So I think this is going to be a fun rivalry to watch. But, I mean, comparing him to Patrick Mahomes, as far as success, as far as what they've done in the actual league, you can talk about regular season games all you want and statistics all you want. But achievements, like you said, you nailed it. You can't compare these two guys based on their achievements. Pat's in a tier of his own. Yeah. Still. You know what I mean? And he's on his path to going to a third straight Super Bowl trip. Right. You can't compare the two. You just can't.
And that, like I said, I want to emphasize and re-emphasize on those last three drives of this game against the Chargers, because I truly believe Patrick Mahomes is the only quarterback in football that had that run. I know Aaron Rodgers may have.
Aaron Rodgers could.
He may have. And you know what? Honestly, I'll just go ahead and give you Rodgers. Yeah. But if that's the only guy that we can point out of the rest of the league, where out of the other 31 starting quarterbacks, only one other guy can do it, maybe did what Patrick Mahomes did, then I'm sitting here looking at a guy that I feel really good about the way my stance is on Patrick Mahomes since day one. I feel really good about it. Have I liked the way he's played in some of these games this year? No. But here's the thing, man. There are I don't want to say excuses, but reasons for why some of these struggles have occurred, man, because as we can go back throughout,
my take on it.
7 of his 13 interceptions this year have been tipped balls, man. Yeah. That has to, and I've always told you, I've always felt that should never count against a quarterback. Yeah. Even back in the days where we even knew who Patrick Mahomes was. I hated that.
Like a fumble on the player.
Yeah, something, man. Yeah. It should not go against the quarterback, because the quarterback couldn't have done anything else to get the ball there. Yeah. Now, the beautiful thing about it is, and how coincidental is it, that in the 3 games that we look at with Chiefs offense, because in this Chargers game, you have to bring this as one of their best offensive performances of the season.
For sure.
496 yards of offense and 34 points.
Yeah.
In these 3 games, two against the Raiders and the game against the Chargers, although there are turnovers in the mix in those games, what is something we didn't see in those games? Drop passes. Chiefs weren't dropping passes. I'm not saying that
we had 2 more turnovers, which were Pat's fault.
That's what I'm saying. The turnovers are in the mix. Now,
overcame that.
I still have a problem with that turnover they called the fumble on, because you literally see it flick out of his fingers, for Christ's sake. I know
he pump faked it and then brought it back.
Yeah, Bosa had the ball.
And it was already kind of out.
Or Bosa had his shoulder, but what about the tuck rule? I
think
what are we talking about here?
I think that because they called it a fumble on the field is what made it. Which made them stick to that play, but we overcame it nonetheless.
That's my point. Yeah. Is that when you see Patrick Mahomes being able to rely on his receiving options, when he knows they're going to catch the ball, This offense is
They were
unstoppable.
determined, man.
Yeah.
Kelsey and Tyreek, even when Tyreek came in, Tyreek was dealing with cramps. Went out there and made an incredible catch in that overtime drive, man. Like, it was just him and Kelsey just both were. That's the deadliest trio in the league when they're hot.
One of the last few things I want to talk about on this segment, and I think we're going to have our guy Mark on in just a few minutes. Our guy Mark Gunnels from Mark My Words podcast. He's also an Arrowhead Pride contributor. I love what he writes on what he's been writing with the Arrowhead Pride and Ron Kopp and those guys. They've been doing a great job, man. They've been holding it down. Last few things I want to talk about when it comes to the Chargers. I want to swing over to the Chiefs' defense.
Yes, man.
Because
Nick fucking
overall, let's be real. Overall, statistically, if you just look at the box score, the Chiefs' defense wasn't very good. They weren't. You look at the way they were giving up a ton of rushing yards. They gave up almost 200 rushing yards. Justin Herbert didn't, outside of a couple drop passes, Justin Herbert really wasn't struggling to get the ball where he wanted to go, and he's got a plethora. He's got a stable of receiving options. And I do want to say that hearing that Donald Parham Jr. is doing good. He's in stable condition. He actually got sent home today, from what I heard. That is great news.
That was scary, man.
I don't know if I've ever seen something
shaking,
like that,
yeah.
where you had a player get injured like that, where no one touched him.
It didn't even look that bad.
No,
which is
he
crazy.
whipped, and his head hit. But then his arm started to shake. And by the way, I really didn't like the way Fox handled it. I thought
like zooming in on him shaking.
I thought Joe Buck was really bad and poor taste in some of the things he said too. When he said that he thinks he hopes it's just the shivering cold of LA's weather. It was really weird for him to say something like that when a guy's literally seizing up. I thought that was really irresponsible. But I'm not going to get hung up on that too much. The biggest part is I'm just glad that he was healthy enough to get through that. And it looks like he's going to be just fine. Yeah. Just a sidebar here. I know that us Chiefs fans, like, we love the idea of having an advantage, if a guy's out for a game or guy gets COVID. Like, obviously we're excited about that. But, man, I really hate it when I see guys get injured, especially a young rookie like Parham Jr. going out there and getting himself an opportunity to make a big play.
And I believe he came from the XFL?
Yeah, something like that.
CFL,
I've
XFL.
never heard of this guy before.
But his story is pretty cool.
He had the ball. He dropped it. It really sucks, man. And I just hate seeing it. My heart was really there for the kid because not only is he a young dude, he's got a family, man. He's got a life. Like, you don't want to see guys get injured at any league, no matter what team they play for. So I'm just really relieved to know that he's going to be fine. Keenan Allen and Mike Williams both got hurt in that game, but they both ended up fighting through it. I'm happy to see that. Eckler stayed healthy. But on the defensive side of things for the Chiefs, now getting into this portion of it, I think that this is where we really got to start praising Brett Veach. And the reason why is because you see Willie Gay Jr. out, you see Chris Jones out, you see L'Jarius Sneed out. 3 of your best defenders are out of this game. And although the defense on box score were not good, they were not good. They gave up a lot of yards and they gave up 28 points. Or not really, because Patrick gave them that essentially that touchdown in the fourth quarter. But seeing Mike Hughes, a guy that the Chiefs gave up a 6th-round pick for, play another big game. Seeing, even though I don't believe Dan Sorensen's a great player by any stretch, the Chiefs continually having faith in keeping him around, and Dan Sorensen, Brett Veach keeping him around and giving him another contract is high praise to even Brett Veach on this one as well. But the key that I want to get to is Nick Bolton, and it's a guy that I know you've been big on. I was big on out of the draft as well.
I love the pick, man.
It was such a risky pick because nobody liked it because he's been bad in coverage, and that is true.
Ironically,
But god damn it, man, can we stop criticizing this kid? Like, I'm being serious.
It's a spot start too for Willie Gay.
Nick Bolton is a throwback linebacker.
Yeah.
This guy is a tackling machine. I know he's got his problems in coverage.
He's playing coverage. I mean, he batted a couple balls and broke up that play with Jared Cook.
Yeah,
that's a tough tight end to guard.
I know he's got his problems in coverage, man. But we're talking about a guy that had 14 total tackles in a game we absolutely needed every one of them.
A couple were in the backfield too. The guys,
and that's Brett Veach, man. To make that pick, knowing that no one really expected the Chiefs to go for a Missouri guy like that, an technically undersized linebacker who's only 6 foot tall and has coverage problems, to see the maturity of him, not to mention the fact that we could talk about the offensive line that's led by 2 rookie starting players in Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith, who are both probably going to be all pros this year.
Yep.
To see Lucas Niang come out there and play as well as he did, he played a pretty damn good game, dude, considering he had to face Joey fucking Bosa in his first game back in 6 weeks.
Yeah.
I've been critical on Brett Veach for a lot of things, but seeing the way he's put this team together, and I'm with Nick right on this. I said this. I actually think I said it before Nick, but I'm gonna give him credit for it because he's a much bigger figurehead than I am. This is the scariest Chiefs team in the Mahomes era. Yeah. I do remember saying that. This is the scariest
it's the most
team.
Complete team.
Yes, before the season I said that.
Yeah.
And now you're starting to see that take shape because when you're without Chris Jones, L'Jarius Sneed, and Willie Gay, you probably should lose. Even as great as the Chiefs are offensively, there's a reason for why you probably should lose the game. Mm. Like I said, the pressure was on the Chiefs. They were hobbled. They were missing more of the key players. And they still went out there and took care of business.
And kudos to Brett Veach also for bringing in Melvin Ingram, who's also maybe the biggest addition this season. Obviously, bringing him in and then completely changing the culture of this defense. I mean, yeah, but going back to Nick Bolton, I love watching him just fly around the field, man. The guy is a tackling machine, like you said. He tackles right. He tackles very aggressive, very hard. Like you said, he is a throwback. I love those kind of linebackers, man. Granted, it's tough for some of those linebackers to move into and succeed in today's game, because today's game's so fast, and typically most teams are going towards the lighter, faster, taller coverage linebackers. You know, you can mix them in. They're almost like a hybrid safety in a way nowadays. A lot of linebackers are. But I love having that guy that's like the DJ type linebacker that will blast through the line and hit a running back in the backfield and force a fumble and wrap you up. Not depend on a shoelace tackle. Will meet you in your chest and power you down. Like I love those kind of linebackers so much, and I love the way he plays. I think he's going to get better in coverage. I think we've already seen him getting better in coverage gradually. But he filled in great for Willie Gay. Willie Gay is obviously the better player because he can do a little bit more right now. But he's also the more seasoned player. He's been on the field more. He's played more. He's played an extra season. I think we got our two linebackers for the future, man. I really do. And they're both two different types of guys. They both are like that thunder and lightning. So, yeah, kudos to Brett Veach for making that move. Kudos to Brett Veach for bringing in Melvin Ingram, the missing piece on this defense, I believe, this year. And the locker room especially. Who also had himself a fairly good game last night, too. Or the other night against the Chargers. So, I think, yeah, I mean, like you said, man, Brett Veach is doing his thing. We can give him, the criticisms when we miss on some, because he has missed on some. But bringing the guys in that have made this defense what it is this year is impressive. Altogether,
overall, with this matchup, I have to just say it one more time. We're going to move on. I just think that this was the game of all games this season where the Chiefs just really showed everybody, because the narrative quickly became the Chiefs can only score against the Raiders, and then the Chiefs go in there and do what they did, put up 500 yards of offense and 34 points against the Chargers in that game. Again, Chargers aren't a very good defense, but that narrative is now dead where the Chiefs can only score against the Raiders. Now that they went in there and did what they did on national television and a must-win game for both teams.
Pretty
so much writing.
It felt like a playoff game.
It really did.
And we got playoff Pat.
And you get a walk-off victory where Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes to Travis Kelce, I mean, when both guys are getting inducted into the Hall of Fame, that's going to be one of the big plays. Now, obviously, they're going to have more plays, I think, because I don't think Travis Kelce's going anywhere. I think Travis Kelce's got another 4 or 5 years of just great football left in him. I don't know if it's going to be prime years, but we saw Tony Gonzalez play till he's 37.
Even become like a legitimate possession receiver.
Yeah, I think Travis Kelce's got some years left, man. I don't see him slowing down at all. He's still got the burners, man. It's unbelievable. To see that be the play that ends things. I mean, we talked about all the way back to the Packers game when Patrick Mahomes hits that third down to ice the game to Tyreek Hill. We're like, uh-oh. That's the ignition. Yeah. That's the ignition. That's the engine warming up. Well, that was the engine warm. That was the engine going full speed. Is Patrick Mahomes hitting his weapons where Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce combined for over 300 receiving yards and 3 touchdowns. Honestly, Travis Kelce should have had 4 touchdowns because even the one throw, they got, he was a 69 nice yards all the way down where Patrick Mahomes or Travis Kelce literally hit to the 0-yard line. That's where I know this offense is just clicking on all cylinders. Are they perfect? Do they have a great game? No. But when they get things rolling, they get things happening, I just don't see anybody beating this team, man, when they're playing that to that level. I don't think anybody's going to really disagree with me because I think I'm 100% right. But as we wait for our guy Mark, I actually had a message from our guy Stan Simmons. I know we haven't been doing the Monday mailbag because we want to kind of transition to getting your guys' comments read on the show. And whenever you guys do drop a line, man, let us know so that way we can get you guys read on here. But our guy Stan Simmons from Fresno, Cali actually left us 2 messages that I am actually going to play right now. So I hope you guys are ready for this because we missed our guy Stan Simmons last week and he gave us 2 messages this week. Let's hear what our guy Stan Simmons has to say.
Hey guys, what's up? I did leave a message last week because I wanted to see how the Raider game would play out. We all saw the results of that. My question is, do you want to see the Raiders relevant again? I live in Raider territory, and my advice to them is move on from the past. and start fresh. It's been 38 years since the Raiders last won a Super Bowl, yet they cling to the past. Your autumn win is a pirate. We had 3 Super Bowl wins. It's time to move on from that. Start fresh. Create a new legacy going forward. I just would like to see the Raiders be relevant again. I don't like the Raiders. I am a strict Raider hater. But do you guys have any advice for Raider Nation?
That is a really good question. And, well, it shouldn't shock us that we have a good question from our guy Stan Simmons.
The
But
autumn wind is a pirate. I love it, man.
that is beautiful. I'm gonna be a little selfish here. I don't like it when the Raiders are relevant. I don't like it when the Raiders are good. And honestly, I don't remember it. Because the last time I remember the Raiders being a legitimate franchise, a legitimate contender, I was probably about 11 years old. So I was about 11 years old the last time when they were in this Super. No, I was a little bit older than that, maybe 12 or 13. I forget. It's been that fucking long. I don't mind it, and here's the reason why. If we want the Chiefs to continue to have the success they're having in the playoffs, you know what benefits that the most? Having a bad division. Look at Tom Brady. All the way throughout his career. The AFC East was called the AFC
Dolphins,
least.
yeah.
You had the worst of the worst teams in the AFC every single year to pick on. And in the NFC South, he had 1 year of Drew Brees, and that was not a good year because Drew Brees was breaking down in front of us. He was way beyond his prime, so that wasn't even an honest matchup. And yet the Saints still kicked their ass 2 times. And the NFC South as a whole is just a complete mess. So he's still inheriting bad divisions. I like the whole rivalry thing. It's fun. It's exciting. It's cool. You know, the Chargers might be there. The Raiders have some opportunity. The Broncos got a really good roster. They're just a quarterback away. This. But I like it when the Chiefs don't really have to worry about divisional foes because they can just win those games, put themselves in the playoff seedings pretty early on, get 6 victories, 5-6 victories a year just in your division alone, and just move on and worry about the rest of the AFC. Because let's be honest, as the things progress in the Mahomes era, things are only going to get tighter and tougher. There's going to be more pressure. There's going to be bigger games. There's going to be a lot more primetime games. Teams are going to be coming at you from all angles, man, and making sure that they can try to get your weaknesses and find your weaknesses and copy whatever the other teams had success on. So I don't really want to have to worry about more divisional foes being good either because there's already going to be enough good teams that the Chiefs are going to face as they have 17 and soon to be 18 game schedules. Yeah. So honestly, I know it sounds kind of whack, but there's enjoyment. There's an enjoyment factor of seeing Raiders fans try to twist in the wind and hope that their team can finally get good again for the first time in decades. And then there's also the fact that I like seeing the teams continually staying down and the Chiefs continuing to pulverize these teams and humiliate them each and every season.
Yeah, I want the Raiders to continue to suck. I don't want to see the Raiders good just because I don't enjoy the unwarranted chatter that goes on. I like the chatter that exists, and then I like the results. I mean, granted, it is. I mean, granted, we've seen some bad Raiders team come in and have competitive games with the Chiefs when we're great and beat us. Recently, those are going to happen regardless. We've seen even in Tom Brady's years there were some upsets in there every once in a while. It just happens because you know each other so well. But I hope Derek Carr sticks around as long as possible so we can continue to beat him. Those are fun. I love listen to him try to philosophize the way they lost and why they lost. That's fun to listen to as post-game pressers. So I want those to continue. I want them to continue to try to do things to rile themselves up and simultaneously rile up the beast that is the Chiefs that continue to take them down. So no, I mean, if they get better, they get better. That's on them. If they choose to blow it up and start fresh, I think they're bound to because that's just how time works. Teams are going to get better over time. They're going to go through peaks and valleys. But in the NFL, a lot of the teams that have been bad continue to stay bad because it's a poorly ran business. And the Raiders have been a poorly ran business for a long, long time. Granted, they are obligated to become better because of the new stadium, because of the new location, because they want to become this tourist attraction in Vegas now. So granted, they need to develop a good product. So I think there is pressure there to become something great. And they probably will. They'll probably become better. I'm not going to say great. They'll probably become a more of a competitive team, as they should, like I said, because of the pressure to be, the new stadium, new shiny, new toy, and then the new location and everything. So they should get better. But right now, as it looks, they are the last team in the division, in my mind, that are going to become a better team. I think the Broncos are on pace. They have a good defense and really good offensive weapons. They are a quarterback away from being a contender in this division, in my mind. I think that's a good roster. I'm not sure about their coach, but I think our number one competition in this division right now is who we just played. I think Justin Herbert is a legitimate quarterback one in this league. I believe in their coach. I think they're changing the culture over there. Talk about a new stadium. Jesus Christ. That stadium is, they have the Chargers have more work to do, I think, than the Raiders do, because the Raiders at least have a faithful fan base that want to push that and be great. The Chargers don't even have that right now. They have great product.
There's even rumors, though, that the Chargers might actually consider relocating back to San Diego. That would be a good
move. That would be a good move. But even when they're in San Diego,
the LA thing has not worked for them. That's clearly Rams country. That's Raiders country. Yeah. That's any visiting team country. It's not Charger country.
Yeah.
They have way too much. They have so much competition within their own market with USC and the LA Lakers and the Dodgers and every other team out there. The Kings, the LA Kings. They have so much. They're not Chargers fans. There's not enough.
Yeah.
I think it was a terrible decision for them to move to LA. I think Kroenke really fucked that up, man. I think they're going to move him back to San Diego because it only makes sense.
To me, it's like wanting to have Bulls and Pistons be a good rivalry again. It's like the bad boy Pistons.
Selfishly, you don't want that.
Yeah, but I mean, like the rivalry that was deep with the Pistons and the Bulls. Like, the Pistons are a terrible franchise.
Yeah.
Maybe one of the worst franchises, probably bottom 3 franchise in the NBA. That's kind of who the Raiders have become too.
Yeah.
Granted,
without question.
They're not the Jaguars or anything like that, but they have a fan base that keeps them afloat because they sell so much merchandise. They are it's easy to like that bad boy idea of what the Raiders try to portray. Yeah. That's like the lure of the Raiders, and like he said, like they rest on their laurels. They have 3 rings, those 80 years ago. So like I get it. I get why he wants them to be better. Because of just the fun storylines that would come. And I just think, me being a person who's based in reality, I just don't see that happening.
Yeah.
I just don't. We can want it all we want. I just don't see it happening for a long time.
Yeah, when your Super Bowls came around, your Super Bowl championships are won before computers were made. I just have a hard time really, taking it seriously. But more so, like I said, just from a selfish aspect, and that's all that really matters to me when it comes to being a Chiefs fan. I don't want the divisional foes to be good. I don't want that because it elevates the chances of them beating the Chiefs, which I'm still not worried about.
Why would you invite that?
Yeah, I don't. I like seeing them fail. I like seeing divisional teams be bad and the Chiefs beat the shit out of them, and it gives the Chiefs that much more of an opportunity of getting to the playoffs and winning.
Divisional leaders within the AFC to compete with, the Bills and the Patriots.
Why would I want my division? I know the whole. Oh, it's just a fun rivalry and it's exciting. No, what's exciting to me is the Chiefs winning 48-9,
and that's like why I want to see the Chiefs go on the road and win and go to the Super Bowl. No, I'd rather have the bye and home
field.
The
happiest I've been as a Chiefs fan all season was the Chiefs winning by 39 against the Raiders.
Yeah.
Not even. I know the Chargers game meant more.
Yes,
but I was happier
for us
during the Raiders game.
Like I said, like when we first started the show, like for us individually, it's very personal with the Raiders. We grew up around a lot of Raiders fans. I was married into a Raiders fans for some years. So like it's
sorry
very
about that, by the way.
It's in the DNA to like utterly despise everything about the Raiders. So seeing them struggle, seeing them suffer, seeing us blow them out 2 times, it is Christmas before Christmas, man. It's happy birthday.
We got to be careful though, because we don't want Raider Cody to start saying that we're being mean to him again.
I mean, we're just pointing out the obvious facts here, man. It is what it is.
Our guy Stan gave us another question as well, which he always appreciate when he gives us a deluxe, if you will, when it comes to giving us questions. I can't wait to hear what this one is. This is Stan Simmons from Fresno, Cali. Second question.
Hey guys, what's up? Second message. Well, the Chiefs did it. They beat the Chargers on Thursday Night Football. It's Friday now, and I'm very ecstatic that they won. It was a great victory. The Chiefs showed a lot of balls, a lot of moxie to come back.
Okay.
And hey, they put the AFC and the NFL on notice that they're a team to be reckoned with going forward. Anyway, so I had to wake up on Friday morning. I took the day off. I had to wake up on Friday morning and listen to the typical haters. Skip Bayless gave Mahomes a C+. Marcellus Wiley did his usual hating routine. Oh, we were down left tackle or right tackle, whatever it was. He failed to mention that we were down 3 players ourselves. What would you tell the haters if you had a chance right now? What would you tell Marcellus and Skip right now?
That might be my favorite Stan Simmons question he's ever
touched on
asked.
this a little bit already, but yeah.
I touched on it a little bit already, but I try to steer clear of it on the show because I don't want us to sound like we care so much about what these guys say, because again, I understand those guys are just planted. They're plants.
Yeah.
They're put in there to rile us all up, and it works. It does. It works. I've never once in my life been a fan of Skip Bayless and Marcellus Wiley. I still. He is the.
He's
I,
worse.
I
He's
think.
worse
I think
than me.
Marcellus is actually the prime example as to why you don't just give a guy a job because he used to play football.
Yeah.
Or a former athlete.
Yeah.
I think guys like him, Paul Pierce, they're so god awful at their jobs that it's you can't just give somebody that job because they won the genetic lottery.
Yeah.
Because Marcellus Wiley was good enough to be in the NFL, and I'll give him that respect.
He's a player. Yeah.
But to sit here and say, oh, because he played the game, he must be really good at talking about it. No.
Yeah, he's not Shannon Sharp.
No, man, and it's just now it's all narrative driven. And so, Stan, honestly, man, if I was to sit here and be able to have a platform where I could talk directly to Marcellus and Skip, outside of the expletives that I would use, I would just simply say, hey, I want to thank you guys. No, seriously, I actually want to thank them because of their clown show. It feels that much better when the Chiefs continue to prove these morons wrong. When Skip says what he says and diminishes the greatness of Patrick and this Chiefs team. When Marcellus goes on there and literally says he would take Lamar Jackson over Patrick Mahomes as his quarterback. Yep. When guys like Rob Ninkovich didn't even get mentioned in this, he's going to catch a stray today. When Rob Ninkovich and morons like him, another former athlete who thinks he knows what the fuck he's talking about, says the shit he says about the Patriots would beat the Chiefs in the AFC Championship and he would take Lamar Jackson over Patrick Mahomes. When they say these things and they do these things, it only makes it that much sweeter. So honestly, I actually enjoy it. It angers me in the moment because I feel they're just being flat out wrong. And you guys know my stance on this, Trevor, that when it comes to giving out content, I want to constantly give people honesty. I want to give them authenticity. Everything I say behind this mic is going to be exactly what I believe and feel. I'm not going to say something to just get a reaction out of you guys because some of my takes are so bad that you guys react out of that anyway. But it is genuinely what I feel. It's genuinely what I believe. And so when these guys go on their platforms, which are much greater than ours, and say those things in a dishonest way, it does anger me in the moment. But that type of show fodder gives that much more fuel to the Chiefs, and when they win, we get to pull the receipts. And our guy Jason Dunn over at Chief Concerns did that very same thing on his videos. I hope you guys go to Twitter. If you're on Twitter, go to Chief Concerns and watch their latest video they put up there, man. They actually called out Marcellus Wiley. They actually called out Skip and Colin Cowherd and these other guys. They did that very same thing, man. And I'm telling you guys, if I had to say that, I would literally shake their hands and say thank you so much for what you do. Because of you, my team continually winning, it's like they win twice every single victory because they're beating you as well. They're beating your narrative as well. I don't know what you would say, Trevor.
Yeah, I don't unlike you, I don't really consume a lot of sports media. I don't watch a lot of TV shows. I'll catch stuff on YouTube clips every once in a while. I really, just to kind of keep my mind clear and just like, I don't even give them any oxygen, man. I really don't. I see what I see on the TV. I watch the games and I go by what I see. I don't, you know what I mean? Like, I don't even want to hear it. Like, I just don't even want to hear it. I think these guys are just paid clowns. Especially Marcellus Wiley. He's the worst to me because he tries to sound so philosophical and smart, and it always falls flat. It's so bad. It's so bad. He's the worst to me because he is a player and he knows the truth. He knows what he sees on the field, and he's just a paid contrarian clown. Skip, everyone knows who Skip is. Skip is a caricature of this just old man that's yelling at the sky. That's who Skip is, and he's been that character for years. So I'm used to his nonsense. He's literally just out there to troll, and make weird, heavy breathing videos when the Cowboys lose. But Marcellus is the worst to me because he is a knowledgeable guy. I really think he is. I think he goes, yeah. I just think Marcellus goes against his better judgments and just to have a different hot take. I really think that's what he's doing because I do think he is somewhat knowledgeable. But when he tries to make these philosophical reasons to why the Chiefs have more to prove, the Chiefs still have things to prove, Patrick Mahomes still has things to prove, it's clown shit. That is straight clown shit if I ever heard it in my life. So, you don't want to have any mention of Lamar Jackson and all these other guys you want to compare him to that have far more to prove, that have proven shit, quite frankly, and accomplishment-wise. So, yeah. Stan, I don't give these guys much oxygen, man, to be honest with you. I think they're just, a lot of them are just, they're on TV for a reason, right? Because they get views, because they're contrarian, because they're edgy. You have to be that way a lot of times. So, football's simple sometimes, and we're great. The Chiefs are great. Patrick Mahomes is great. It's really that simple sometimes. So, yeah.
I appreciate the questions as always, Stan. We really do, man. And I don't know if you saw, Trev, but there's a lot of people that are, and I wanted to talk about this too. We're gonna see if our guy Mark is still gonna jump on with us. He actually just texted me, so hopefully he'll join on. All right, cool. Yeah, it looks like Mark's gonna join us in just a couple minutes. So we'll I just want to throw this out here real quick. We have a big game, and I know a lot of our viewers and listening audience might see this after the game is over. Pats Colts. Big game tonight. The Pats are without Damian Harris, who's had a really good season this year, about 800 yards and 9 touchdowns.
Ramondre Stevenson is
But he's a rookie running back.
He's filled in very nicely for him.
The Colts defense leads the league in takeaways.
Yeah.
Carson Wentz has really put together some good games, and they have right now the best running back in football, Jonathan Taylor.
And they might have the best defense in the league too.
That's what I'm saying. Leading the league in takeaways with home field. They've
And
also
very
had a
stout
bye
against
week.
the run, too.
If they didn't have a bye week last week and the Patriots coming here off their bye week as well, I'd say, man, Pat's got a real advantage with Belichick having an extended week over his competition. That's not the case.
Yeah.
Trevor, how do you see this game going? We're going to give our predictions on our social medias later on, but what do you think, man? What do you think about this Colts-Pats game?
Very rarely are games predictable in the NFL, especially this year. There's been a lot of wildly unpredictable letdown and blow-up games you didn't expect to blow up. But I think this game is one of those games where I can kind of like read what's going to happen. I think this is going to be a defensive game. Two of the best defenses in the league. Two very run-heavy offenses. Two quarterbacks that play safe. Granted, Carson Wentz is the more mistake-prone quarterback just because Mac doesn't really take many chances. He throws when he kind of needs to, and they get the play action going. I think the Colts win this game. I do. I think the Colts win this game, and I think Mac Jones he struggles today. This is, like I said, I think this is going to be a lot of field goals, a lot of defense, and I like the Colts defense better. I think they're going to really, really get pressure on Mac Jones. I think they're going to make him very uncomfortable. I think DeForest Buckner is a monster. I think those guys are just all they're gonna, I think that defense is going to eat. I think they're going to stop Ramondre Stevenson. I don't think he's going to get. The only way I really think the Patriots get the ball moving is by throwing the ball to like the Bolden, but even Bolden's questionable. He's been playing that James White role, and it's effective because obviously Belichick knows how to get the catches, the pass catching running backs going, and that's always kind of been his brand with James White and guys like that in the short intermediate game. That's the only way I think they're going to move the ball. I think that running game is going to be tough for them to get going against the Colts defensive line. I don't know. I think this is one of those games that's going to end like 20-14 tops. I think, like I said, a lot of field goals, a lot of defensive play. I think Carson Wentz makes a play that just puts the game away. I know that's tough to imagine, but I think Carson Wentz plays fairly well tonight. I think him and Jonathan Taylor and the tight ends. I think they're going to use a lot of their tight ends. I think the Mo Alley Cox, what's his name? The other Jack Doyle. Their other tight ends. I think their tight ends are going to get a lot of work in the underneath game. I think it's going to be tough for Michael Pittman really to get off because those corners in New England are tough. So I think this is going to be a defensive game, honestly, in my mind. I don't see a high-scoring game. Granted, it could be defensive touchdowns that make this a high-scoring game because that could definitely happen too. I could definitely see Carson Wentz going out there and throwing 3 picks, one of them being a pick 6. But I'm picking the Colts. I'm picking the Colts tonight in a close game, nail-biter. I think they can either end it with a field goal or a touchdown, but I think the Colts end up on top.
I'm actually going to agree with you and actually take it a step further. I think the Colts are going to win this game convincingly.
You think they roll?
I do. And when I say roll, I think it's going to be at least 7 points, and we can get to that more in a second because I'm not going to keep my guy waiting. We've been really excited to have my guy on for a minute now, and actually I don't have any audio on my headset yet, Trev. But let me make sure we get our guy Mark on here. Make sure we have our stuff all together. We've been ready to go for a little bit. We got our guy Mark, who's been a busy man. I think everything's connected.
You hear me?
Make sure our audio is good over there.
Should be good.
Yeah, there's no sound. I don't have any sound yet. Here's something clicking, but yeah, no sound yet. Yeah, make sure it's good over there on the computer. Are we good?
You hear me?
Can you hear us?
Hello, can you hear me?
All right, we'll wait for that in just a second.
For some reason I don't see you on the stream, man. Hold on.
Yeah, you turn that off. That's why.
Turn what? Let's see. I didn't turn anything off. Let's see here. Did you check your camera? Your camera's
Yep, you turned it off and then turn it back on. That's why. You turned it off. It's on now. It's on now.
Yeah, but I'm not getting any broadcast right here. What's that here, man?
Click on the line. Go to the other stream. The other tab. Oh, the other tab. There. No, just remove mine and start it over. Send another invite to me.
I'm gonna add you to the stream. Is your camera giving you a green light?
No.
Well, you can just hop on here. You can use Eddie's mic. You wanna hop on and just do one screen on me and you? Use Eddie's mic.
You gotta go to that. Click on the sidebars. And mic settings. No.
I was gonna say you can just hop on here and sit right here and I'll sit right here. You use these headphones. I don't know how your stream completely went away though.
How we doing, Mark?
Get rid of that
You
screen.
hear me?
How we doing?
Just get rid of that one entirely.
Can't hear me?
Can you hear me, Mark?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can't hear Mark though.
You can hear us though.
Yeah, I can hear you guys.
Is everything on your side unmuted and everything, man?
Let me see. Yeah.
Unmute.
I did.
All the mics are unmuted.
Yeah. Where is Mark's mic though? Why?
Test, test, test.
Why isn't Mark? Why can't we hear him though?
I don't know.
You guys still can't hear me?
Hold on, man. Is the computer not muted?
I'd say.
You hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. I'm so sorry about that, Mark. We'll be a professional show one day. But in the meantime, how the hell are you doing, man?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
Not bad at all. Not bad at all. We had a good start to the show, and then we got ourselves all clumped up. But we're here with you from Mark Gunnels, Mark My Words podcast, making adjustments over here like the Chiefs offense did in the fourth quarter and overtime. You were there at SoFi Stadium this week, my man, and obviously we were here back in Kansas City. The energy was electric here, watching it on television. But I would imagine that it was a different experience there at SoFi. And you've been holding it down in LA for some time for us KC people, man. You're a native here, but I want to get your takeaway from this game at SoFi Stadium. What was the experience like? What was the energy like? Was there a ton of Chiefs fans there? What was your overall takeaway from the experience at SoFi?
So the first thing, I was actually surprised. There was actually more Chargers fans there than I expected. They kind of showed up. They showed up pretty good, but it was still a lot of Chiefs fans, obviously. But it wasn't the takeover like I expected it to be. But the overall experience was crazy. It was really loud in there. I'm sure it played well on TV. It was super loud in there. They had some pumped-in noise as well, so it was crazy. It was actually my first time inside of SoFi Stadium, and that stadium it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable, man. I mean, it's a state-of-the-art arena stadium. It's really nice. It's up there. I haven't been to the Vegas one yet, so I got to compare and see which one is better. But the game was crazy, man. Back and forth, a lot of momentum changes. It felt like an NBA game. It was kind of like not as high scoring, but it kind of reminded me of the Chiefs-Rams game in 2018 a little bit. And I was at that game as well, too. Just the energy, the momentum shifts, and things like that. So it was cool.
Hell yeah, man. Well, I want to start kind of like a Tarantino movie where we start at the end and then work our way to the beginning about how this game was being viewed from the national media, and you're in national media, so you know a lot of these folks. You know a lot of narratives that were around this game about Justin Herbert versus Patrick Mahomes. Who's the better quarterback at this current time? Is Justin Herbert going to surpass Patrick Mahomes? How much this game meant? But at the end of the game, we saw something that I think a lot of us Chiefs fans have never lost belief in, and it's when Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and Tyreek Hill on the same page and they're clicking, there isn't a single team out there that can stop these guys, especially when the defense was doing what they did. Granted, they were without three guys. I'm going to ask you about that in a second. But holding the fort down on the defensive side, giving Patrick Mahomes enough opportunities to take this game over and end the game on a walk-off fashion. When you see these three guys do what they do you think there's anybody in this league that can stop? I'm not talking about just the AFC. I'm not talking about the Chargers. I'm not talking about the Patriots. I'm not talking about any of these teams in the AFC. Because I think the Chiefs have now staked their flag as still the AFC representation in the Super Bowl this year. Is there a team in the NFC that you think can match with this team when they do what they do and how they did things at the end of that game?
I think there's a couple, but I still like the Chiefs as the favorite to win a Super Bowl. But I will say, I think the Packers would be a good matchup, especially obviously with Aaron Rodgers. And I want to see the Bucks again. I mean, that would be fun to see that rematch again as well. So I think those two teams really stand out to me. But besides that, I don't think many teams can match up against the Chiefs when they're clicking. I mean, even when the Chiefs were getting quote-unquote stopped early in the season, most of it was just self-inflicting wounds. You know, guys dropping passes, leading to picks, or, you know, dumb penalties when they're driving, killing drives, and things like that. I mean, I saw you early in the year. You kind of were a little panicked a little bit, man. I don't know. I was worried about you for a second. You kind of jumped off the deep end.
Yes. It happened, Mark. It happened. Let me explain that real quick. I don't want to interrupt you. There is no excuse for that. Everything I said, I 100% meant, and I stand by it because you know why? As I said on this show earlier, the Chiefs were dead in the water. Had a losing record through almost halfway through the season. They were playing historically bad defense. Patrick Mahomes looked lost a lot of times. The offense was just abysmal, to say the least. This was not the Chiefs that we had a new standard of. This team had championship aspirations. They were the favorites going into the season as the Super Bowl favorites, and they did anything and everything other than look great as a team, as a collective. And now they're finally starting to put it together. playing complementary offense, playing complementary defense, winning 7 straight games. There's nothing that I can really take away from things and say that they're the same team that they were through the first 5-6 weeks of the season. They have changed their ways. So as critical as I was, I'm going to praise them just as much for what they're doing now that is positive. So I'll own each and every take I said because I meant every single one of them, just like I mean every single ounce of praise I'm giving them now. So I'm gonna go ahead and lay that out there. But you're right, man. People have every right to call me out for anything I've said beforehand.
Nah, I'm just messing with you, man. I love it, bro. I love it. You stand on what you say, man. So I respect it, bro. But
Absolutely.
Yeah, man. As you mentioned, like the AFC. I mean, who are you scared of in the AFC? I mean, the biggest threat. I don't even know who the biggest threat is. I really don't know. People are saying New England, but do you really believe in Mac Jones in the playoffs?
I still think it's the Bills in my mind.
If they make the playoffs.
And if that's the case, you're talking about a team that may not make the playoffs.
Exactly.
I'm just talking pure matchup. I think it's the Bills. Yeah.
I would probably say pure matchup wise. I'm actually. I was gonna say the Colts, but I don't trust Carson Wentz.
Right. This is why, Mark. This is why I have said over and over again that, and it's cliche, it's lazy. You call it whatever the hell you want. It's what I believe. The only team that's beaten the Chiefs in the AFC are the Chiefs. That's the only team. Think about it. Why did the Chiefs have the start they had? It wasn't because of the teams they were facing. It was because they weren't executing. They weren't getting the job done. That's the only reason why the Chiefs had to dig themselves out of a grave. They're the ones that took the shovel and started digging that bad boy and then threw their own body in there. It wasn't that a team dethroned them, because as you can clearly see, within 6-7 weeks, the Chiefs went from out of the playoffs to the number 1 seed. There's no one in the AFC compared to this team. It's the Chiefs and then everybody else.
No, 100%. I mean, especially if they get the 1 seed, which I think they will. I mean, you get that bye and you just got to win 2 games at home. I mean,
right.
If they get that, which I really think they will, and honestly, they may be the 1 seed by themselves after this weekend.
Right.
I can see the Colts winning today against the Patriots, and I can see Tennessee losing at Pittsburgh tomorrow. I think that's very, very possible.
Mark, you're very close to the LA landscape, the LA sports landscape. You hear, I'm sure, a lot about Justin Herbert, and I've told Trev, I've told everybody on this show, I don't want to make this an anti-Herbert thing, because it's not. Justin Herbert is great. Justin Herbert is a top 10 quarterback in my eyes. He's had arguably the best start to a quarterback's career for the rookie and sophomore years. We're having back-to-back 30 touchdown seasons. But he is not, in my eyes, on the same tier as Patrick Mahomes, and it was proven in this game, because had Justin Herbert had the performance Patrick Mahomes had at the end of that game, we'd all be crowning Justin Herbert. But the difference between the two quarterbacks is that Mahomes can do that and no one else can. And so I think it's very unfair for Justin Herbert to get that praise, both for his own pressure and expectations. That's such an unfair thing to put on him. And to me, it's disrespect to Patrick Mahomes, because as I've been saying for weeks now, I don't think Patrick Mahomes gets the respect and reverence of being a Super Bowl champion, an MVP, a Super Bowl MVP, because we're having these types of conversations when Justin Herbert is still trying to prove who he is in this league, when we know what Patrick Mahomes is, a proven champion that at worst has lost in the AFC Championship in overtime to the greatest dynasty that has ever existed.
Yeah, it kind of compares to this. It's kind of like when, LeBron was the best player in the world for like 10 years, and he was like clearly the best player, but they still try to like find other guys that could be better, like Kevin Durant or Steph Curry, things like that. So it kind of reminds me of that. Like, obviously, Patrick Mahomes is the clear top guy, but then Herbert's really great. He's really great, but he's on a tier below. He's like Kevin Durant and OKC. Like, you're really great, but we know you're not. We're not holding that standard. Because you know how they hold LeBron to that standard. Like, if LeBron do anything wrong, it's like, oh, what's going on? But if KD does it, it's like, oh, it was Westbrook's fault. It wasn't KD's fault. So I kind of compare it to that. But Herbert's special, man. Sorry, my kid in the background going crazy right now.
Oh, you're good. I've been crying for the last 10 minutes because we've been having technical difficulties. So trust me, your baby ain't got nothing on my whining, dude. We're good. I promise. But
Yeah, Herbert's nice, though. I like Herbert a lot, though.
absolutely. And I think it's by far the best chance outside of what Deshaun Watson has been to being a quote-unquote rival to Patrick Mahomes because of the tangibility of how many times they can be facing each other. There's something to that, but I want to see him prove himself. I want the Chargers to prove themselves a little bit more before we start giving them those flowers, because I don't think they've earned that to this point. But I want to segue to something else, because I think the thing that the national media and a lot of other people, quite frankly, have been missing on is just how impressive the last 3 games for the Chiefs have been. Because not only did they do something I have never seen before, where a team beats 3 straight divisional foes in a row, but they did it within an 11-day frame and outscored those 3 teams 104-46. Now, what makes it even more impressive is the fact that all 3 of those teams either currently are or were still in playoff contention. So this isn't like the AFC East back in the mid-2000s where the Patriots reeled off 3 straight victories against teams that had 4 combined wins. We're talking about 3 teams that could still very well get in the playoffs, or even going into this game against the Chargers could have won the division, get the 1 seed. There's a lot of scenarios. So I don't think the Chiefs are getting enough respect here, man. Despite how they started, people got to start looking at this. This is 7 weeks of work here they put together on the defensive side. The offense has come alive. The narrative has been that the Chiefs can only score against the Raiders. Then they go and put up 500 yards and 34 points against the Chargers. Why aren't they getting the respect, man? Do you think that people are getting bored with the Chiefs, or people just have a lack of belief because of how they started the season? What are you seeing?
I think they have the respect. I just think it's what you said. People are just bored of them already. Like, they're looking for the new shiny toy. That's why you're seeing all this Herbert hype. Early in the year, Lamar was getting a lot of hype as well, obviously, when they beat the Chiefs, too. So, I just think, people are just looking for the new thing, because talking about the Chiefs all the time, winning the AFC is kind of boring for the national media. You know how it is, man.
Oh, yeah.
They want to create these storylines and get people more intrigued, because if you just say the Chiefs are going to run through the AFC, that's boring. That's not creating ratings. That's not creating controversy. It's not getting people talking about things. So, deep down, people, they know. But for the TV and for the radio, they got to put on this face, man. That's all it is.
Was it concerning to you at all? Because the Chiefs ended up having 86 total rushing yards, and Patrick had 32 of them, ended up leading the team in rushing. Is it concerning to you at all that the Chiefs couldn't run against the 31st ranked rushing defense, or do you think that the Chargers are starting to finally put it together on the defensive side, and that the Chiefs will be able to bounce back and run the ball a little bit better as the season progresses?
Yeah, I'm not concerned. The Chargers have been doing better against the run lately. I know their season numbers don't look good because they started off really, really bad against the run, but lately they've actually been pretty good against the run. And I'm not concerned because that O-line is so physical, man. Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith, Orlando Brown's been playing really good ball lately. Nobody's talking about him because he was getting ragged on a lot early in the season, but you haven't heard much lately, and that's a good thing. If you don't hear much from the O-lineman, that means they're playing good. But if you hear stuff from them, that means they're probably not playing that good, unless you're Creed Humphrey. Because Creed Humphrey has a really cult-like following on Twitter right now. Did you see that video, the Creed is good video?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So they did their thing on that one for sure, and it's good to see that it's finally getting some national recognition. That's without question. But something else I wanted to ask you, Mark, because I think you see it a lot different than a lot of other people do because you're so close to the big markets. And back here in Kansas City, we always take everything as disrespect, and they don't believe in us, and I'm very guilty of that, trust me. But when it comes to the grittiness of this Chiefs team, when you see that they miss Chris Jones and L'Jarius Sneed and Willie Gay, and we're still able to put the clamps on the Chargers, the team that can score at will at times, and they've been inconsistent at times, but they have a very skilled offense. To see that happen, I built a scenario a few weeks ago where I asked this question: would you rather see the Chiefs get back to that 2018 style of offense where they're just scoring at will, but the defense regresses dramatically, or the defense continues their dominance and the offense kind of picks their spots to be great, but still struggle and frustrate the shit out of all of us? Which scenario would you go with that gives the Chiefs the best chance of winning the Super Bowl?
Definitely the latter for sure, because if you have a defense that can buckle down, then you don't have to score that many points. I mean, we saw it before these last 7 games. Chiefs won games scoring 19, 22 points, things like that. So if they can just pick their spots and score when they really need to, I mean, even this last game, they didn't look that good until the fourth quarter. Then they scored 21 points, 3 straight drives. So, I mean, yeah, I would definitely take the latter for sure because while 2018 was fun, all the fireworks and stuff like that, pretty stressful when you know that your defense has literally no chance of getting a stop.
Man, that's what I've been trying to tell people, and I'm not trying to piggyback on your take here, but this is, to me, the most dangerous Chiefs team we've had in the Mahomes era. And I'm not trying to copy what Nick Wright has said. I've actually been saying this since before the season because I felt that the defense was going to take a big step this year. Obviously, the first month and some change, they did the opposite of that. But once you move Chris Jones back in, he gets healthy. Frank Clark gets healthy. You add Melvin Ingram. Willie Gay takes that step up. Nick Bolton is a surprise rookie. A lot of good things on the defensive side start to come together, and all of a sudden you have one of the best defenses in the league. Patrick Mahomes no longer has to put that cape on each and every week. And that's why this team is so dangerous, because your best player, the best quarterback in the world, doesn't have to be that guy each and every week. It takes that pressure off. It allows him to focus more on the subtleties of the game where he can just take what the defense is giving him. He doesn't have to score a 10-yard play a 10 touchdown play at each every drive. He just gets to do what he needs to do and just working his way into the offense. Now, when it comes to the rest of the AFC, I stand firmly that the Chiefs are in a league of their own. But let's say the Chiefs don't get the 1 seed. Which team is the one that you don't want to see in the AFC championships, where the Chiefs have to finally play their first road game, if you will, in the Mahomes era in the playoffs? Which is the place? What place is the last place you'd like to see the Chiefs go?
So this answer might be kind of weird because I already dogged this team earlier, but it's the Patriots, and it's only because weird stuff happens in Foxborough.
Yeah.
Our mics might go out, or the headphones might stop working. The balls may be flat. I want nothing to do with playing Bill Belichick in Foxborough because just too much weird shit happens there. It has nothing to do with
Facts.
It has really nothing to do with the team. I'm really not scared of the team. I mean, they have a good defense. Their defense is really good, obviously. Obviously, Bill Belichick is the greatest defensive mind ever. So you have to respect that. And he has shown times of frustrating Mahomes, for a half, not for a full game, but for a half. But, the Mac Jones thing just doesn't really scare me that much. But I would still rather not go to Foxborough, especially because if it's in the AFC Championship game and if the Tampa Bay is in the NFC Championship game, the narrative is going to be Brady versus Belichick. And let's say that game is first and the Brady already wins. They're going to want the Patriots to win that game. So I just don't want nothing to do with that.
Mark, you got to get out of my head, dude. You got to get out of my head because this is what I said. I told Trevor this last week. I know everybody wants the rematch, the Bucks versus the Chiefs, but even before that, with what you just said, if it is Chiefs versus Patriots, and let's say it's the Packers versus the Bucks in the AFC Championship, I'm more worried about the officiating than I'm worried about the actual matchups. Because if the NFL is one game away from that being the matchup, where it's the Patriots versus the Bucks, which is really Belichick versus Brady, they're going to do everything in their power, man. And wouldn't it be so on brand with as bad as the NFL officials have been this year? Wouldn't it just be so on brand if the Chiefs get like 18 penalties in that one game and they lose by a field goal and you just know it was the repeat performance of what happened in the Super Bowl where they just could not get a rhythm because they were getting a penalty every 3 plays? And so when it comes to the Bucks and it comes to that rematch, man, I'm so much worried about facing the officials than I am of facing the Bucks again, because I think the Chiefs match up really well against the Bucks. I think they would beat the Bucks on a neutral field, and I think they would. I think if it was if you got those officials against the Chargers just 2 nights ago, I think the Chiefs beat the Bucks straight up. I think they beat them. I would hammer the points. I know you're a betting man. Yeah. I think you would agree with me on that, Mark. What do you say?
Yeah, for sure. It's just the extra stuff you got to worry about, the officiating. But yeah, if both teams are healthy, I love the Chiefs in that matchup. I'm actually more scared of the Packers. I think the Packers are the one team that legitimately could beat the Chiefs because they have a really good defense. They haven't even been healthy. They've been missing the Pro Bowl corner, missing one of their D linemen. So those guys are coming back. And, they were competitive against us without Aaron Rodgers. I mean, it is what it is. You can't ignore that. That was impressive for them. So, if that matchup happens, and I think it will. That's my pick, actually. Chiefs Packers, because it feels like it's kind of aligning that way, because the first time we played them, no Mahomes. Second time we played them, no Rodgers. Third time's a charm, man. It's gonna happen. I think it's gonna happen.
You just feel like the football gods, that we need to get that aligned, man. That needs to be aligned. It's criminal that Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers, which by the way would be the greatest talent duo on the same field in the history of the NFL, we deserve that. Like, we never got LeBron and Kobe in the finals thanks to Dwight Howard's ass. We can't allow this to go without happening, man, because the more likely Rodgers is going to get out of the NFC after this offseason, and you're not going to see a Super Bowl or State Farm Bowl, if you will. So this has to happen this year. I'm with you, man. I hope that happens. A couple more questions here. Now that the Chiefs have gotten that big victory out of the way, I think that was the divisional cider. They're now in that one spot. I agree with you. I think the Colts are going to end up winning this game today. Do you see any slip up, though? Because the Chiefs have the Steelers coming back home. You have the Bengals on the road. And then you have the Broncos in Denver to finish off the season. Do you see any trap game issue going on? Because if the Chiefs finish off the season with the wins, it's a 10-win streak. That's a big streak to have going into the playoffs. How do you see the rest of the season going for the Chiefs?
So the next game, I'm completely not worried one bit. Big Ben is washed. They have extra time to prepare. It's in Arrowhead. Chiefs are going to blow out Pittsburgh. It's not going to be a game. But Cincinnati, a little bit, not too much. They're still very young. They're very inconsistent. And, they're going to be fighting for their playoff lives, obviously. But I just don't trust them on a week-to-week basis to say that they can actually beat the Chiefs. But surprisingly, that last game kind of scares me a little bit. Only because I think that's going to be a game where Denver needs to win to get into the playoffs. And I think that scenario where, like, if they win, they're in, or they maybe need a little bit of help, but that game's going to mean a lot to them. But it's going to mean a lot to the Chiefs, too, because they're trying to get the 1 seed. But it's in Mile High. They haven't beat us in forever. I mean, I feel like they're due to beat us eventually. We're not going to beat them every single time, right?
Yeah.
And, last week in Denver, the weather could be crazy. So, I mean, I still think we're going to win out, but that Denver game actually causes me more pause for concern than Cincinnati does, which may surprise some people.
Mark, I don't know how much of a narrative guy you are, but something that I actually would be a little bit more excited about is something that Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs have yet to do. And what I mean by that is this. You talked about how the Chiefs are going to, currently have the 1 seed if everything stopped right now. And they would have home field throughout, and you only need to win 2 home games. The Chiefs have done that now for the last 3 years or 2 years. But we've never seen something from Patrick Mahomes going and winning on the road in the playoffs. And a narrative is going to happen. If the Chiefs end up getting that 1 seed, they have 2 home games into the Super Bowl, people are going to start saying, well, he's never actually won a road game in the playoffs. We want to see Patrick do that before we can start putting him in the Tom Brady echelon. Honestly, Mark, I'm not going to complain if the Chiefs get the 1 seed and get the home field throughout, because honestly that would give them a better chance of getting to the Super Bowl, and I'm all for that. But there's a part of me that kind of wants to see Patrick Mahomes have that 2010-11 Green Bay Packers run where they go on the road for 3 games and just whoop some ass, and Aaron Rodgers ends up beating the Steelers in the playoffs. And it kind of put Aaron at that upper echelon ever since. He hasn't been back since. But people always quote that, always go back to that. People give Joe Flacco all that credit for going on the road and winning those road games in Denver and New England, and everyone's giving him praise for that. I feel like that would be another notch on the Mahomes belt. Which one would you rather see if it just came from a narrative perspective?
And we're going to the Super Bowl no matter what?
Yes.
Well, obviously I'll pick that because it's a harder path and you still win. So yeah, if you're telling me we're still going to the Super Bowl, then yeah, I'll take that, because that's a bigger argument, for the Mahomes camp. But obviously I want the 1 seed. I want the easiest path possible. But I mean, it's going to happen eventually. We're not going to be the 1 seed every single year. it's definitely going to happen. I mean, the Chargers are going to win the AFC West a couple times during Herbert's career. We're not going to win it every year. So it's going to happen eventually, but hopefully it doesn't happen this year. I don't want to see it this year.
Now, I'm jumping way ahead because we still got season games to go. We have the playoffs, we have the Super Bowl, we have the draft, all these things coming up. But, man, I think there's going to be some big names moving in this offseason. I think that we saw the preliminary movements from Aaron Rodgers where he did everything in his power to get out of Green Bay. It didn't work out. Now he's making sure he's going to be gone. I think no matter how the season ends for the Packers, he's gone. I'm not big on the Broncos being the team that's going to end up getting him. I think that the Broncos are going to get a guy like Jimmy Garoppolo. I think that's going to be more of a realistic scenario for them. I think the Russell Wilson's going to end up probably with the Giants. But, man, this might sound crazy, but I'm going to get out ahead of it. I've been saying this for about 5 months now. I think if I'm Aaron Rodgers, I think if I'm the Green Bay Packers, I'm talking to the Cleveland Browns about getting that trade in there because the Browns have draft assets. They have a talented roster. Aaron Rodgers would be moved from the NFC to the AFC in a very winnable division in the AFC North with a lot of questions around Lamar Jackson, who's going to be the quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers. How good are the Bengals really? It's great for Aaron Rodgers because he's not in the AFC West, but he's out of the NFC. It's great for the Packers because they get a bunch back and they get Aaron out of the NFC. And it's obviously great for the Browns because they get Aaron freaking Rodgers. What are your thoughts on that move being a possible scenario for Aaron Rodgers in 2022?
I mean, it makes sense. The only thing I would say about that, to give a little pushback, is does Aaron Rodgers want to live in Cleveland? You know, Aaron Rodgers is kind of a diva. You know, he's from California. He's been living in Green Bay his whole career, cold weather. It's hard for me to imagine that he willingly would like to play in Cleveland. But everything else makes sense, though. You got the roster. You got the talent. You got the division. It's very winnable. You know, everything makes sense besides the fact that they're in Cleveland, Ohio.
Yeah. The Chiefs have their own problems when it comes to how they're going to restructure this roster after this season. And we're going to have you on the show this offseason if that's cool with you, man. But I want to get out. I want to get ahead of this as well. The Chiefs are going to have about $25 to $30 million to play with this offseason. And with the caps going up, they're going to be able to spend a little bit more. Now, Tyrann Mathieu and Orlando Brown Jr. are immediate needs. They're priorities. You got to take care of them. And I think the Chiefs are. But the biggest priority to me is Tyreek Hill. Now, I know he's got another year on his contract after this season. But he's now had back-to-back-to-back all-pro seasons. In fact, he's had one of the greatest 5-year stretches in the history of the NFL for a wide receiver. He's been unbelievable. It's basically been like what Antonio Brown was with the Steelers. If I'm the Chiefs, I pay him whatever you can right now. Because if you give him another year and another opportunity to add another great season to it, I don't know if he might price himself out of the Chiefs. If I'm the Chiefs, I pay Tyreek Hill over Tyrann Mathieu. I think Orlando Brown Jr. is going to get the tag. But how would you go about prioritizing those guys this offseason?
Yeah, I agree with you. They got to take care of Tyreek this offseason. You don't want to take the risk of, other teams getting in his ear and things like that and guys overpaying for him and you can't afford to get him. So definitely got to lock him in. And I agree with the tag on Orlando. And I still think they're going to try to get a deal done with Tyrann Mathieu, man. I really do. He's the leader of that defense, man. You can't he's invaluable, man. Guys love him. He has that passion that you love. You don't want to see him go somewhere else like a Baltimore or, Cleveland or something like that. You don't want to see that. So I think they can take care of all three of those guys this offseason. And also, you didn't mention Frank Clark. I think they're going to restructure his deal. Obviously, they're going to get out of that current contract. But I think they want to keep him around because people are saying, they want to get rid of him. I think people were saying that because they're thinking about his current contract. No, if you can get him on a fair deal, restructure the contract, he's still a very, very productive player. I mean, we're seeing it this year. He's coming along very well lately this past 7 weeks. He's getting a lot of pressure. So I think if you still keep him around and bring his boy back, him and Jarran Reed played together in Seattle. Jarran Reed's starting to play pretty good. You got Chris Jones back in the inside. I see no reason why you want to get rid of Frank Clark unless he's asking for too much, which I don't see that happening.
Yeah. No. What do you think is going to happen with Derek Carr?
He's actually the guy that I can see going to Cleveland.
Oh,
I can see him going to Cleveland. I can see that happening. I don't think they're going to get Aaron Rodgers. Sorry to kill your theory there. I just don't. It's just hard for me to imagine Aaron Rodgers playing in the city of Cleveland. But I can see Derek Carr going there. I can see that. Vegas, they have to move on. And Derek Carr's not even a bad quarterback. It's nothing to do with him. It's just that you know who he is at this point. You already know who he is. So move on. Maybe even give Marcus Mariota a shot. I mean, why not? I mean, they bring him in at times to run the ball. I mean, this guy was a former Heisman guy. So, I mean, he's still young. See what he got. Why not?
Are the Lakers going to trade Russell Westbrook?
Oh, man, you hit me with that one out of nowhere.
Put that full court blitz on you, man.
Oh, man. I'm going to lean and say no. Only because LeBron and AD were so adamant in getting him here and their friends off the court. Unless something just is something you just cannot refuse, and I don't see that happening because Westbrook's contract is crazy. So I'm not sure who would be willing to take that on. I'm going to lean no, but, man, the Lakers, they're a mess, man. They're a mess.
Yeah, they took, an 18-point L to the damn Timberwolves last night. We had Cat out there saying too short to AD after he put some buckets on him. It's not looking good, man. I'm not worried yet. It's getting there. It's definitely getting there. But one more question for you when it comes to the NBA, because I love talking NBA with you, Mark, because I know you're just as plugged in with the NBA as you are the NFL. It sounds like Kyrie is going to make a part-time effort to get back into things. It sounds like he was open-minded, or they're going to allow him to play some road games, which is going to make some weird implications for the playoffs if, in fact, this ends up continuing the way it goes. But then we hear that he's under COVID protocols, according to Shams and Woj. So make sense of this situation for me, man, because it doesn't make any sense to me. I don't understand how they'll be able to have any kind of rhythm with their team, especially moving into the playoffs, with him playing part-time and only on the road. I make sense of this for me, man.
There's no making sense of this. But the Nets, they gave in. They said before the year, we don't want Kyrie around unless he's fully committed, which means he's available for road and home games. But now they've been hit with COVID, guys being out the lineup, Harden being in and out the lineup. So they got desperate, and now they're allowing him to come back just for road games, which is very, very weird to me. And, the protocols in New York, the law is not going to change anytime soon. I mean, especially with this new variant out right now. So that's going to remain a thing unless he ends up getting vaccinated, which I have no reason to believe that he will. So once it comes to the playoffs, that's going to be so crazy. Like, he's going to miss a game 7 at home.
Right.
Like, I mean, and not to mention, people aren't mentioning this, which is a very likely possibility. San Francisco has the same laws. And there's a good chance the Warriors and Nets may play in the finals. So that means he will not be able to play any games in the finals if that's the matchup.
Damn.
I mean, if I'm the Nets, aren't you just trading Kyrie at this point?
Who's going to take him?
I thought that the last time, but here we are. He's on the Nets. I mean, it's so mind-boggling, though, that they're holding on to this, because I'm with you. I don't think Kyrie's getting vaccinated. And until he gets vaccinated, it makes no sense to be playing him on a part-time, especially like you said, if it is, in fact, the Warriors or the Lakers or whoever they're facing on the California side, it makes no sense. He's just a distraction at this point, man. He's a great player, but he is a distraction at this point. There's no point of having him on this roster.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, man. It's like, I don't know, man. I there's no making sense of Kyrie Irving, so I'm not even going to try to make sense of it.
Yeah.
But it's a mess, man.
One more question. I said that last time, but I mean it this
You
time.
said it like 5 times already.
They just keep coming to me, Mark. We don't get you very often, man, so I'm trying to live it up when we have you here. Who's winning the NFL MVP?
It's going to be Tom Brady, man.
Fuck.
I don't like it. I don't necessarily agree with it, but you can already see the narrative being shaped already. And unless he just falls off the earth these last 3 weeks, he's going to win it, and I don't think he will. I mean, look at their schedule. They play the Saints. They play the Panthers again, and they play somebody else that's weak. Like, their schedule, they're going to win out. And he's going to rack up touchdowns. And one thing that bothers me about the touchdown numbers with him, if you really watch their games, a lot of his touchdowns are at the freaking 1 yard line, are like near the goal line where they really should run the ball, but it's like they're stat padding for him.
Yep.
He gets a lot of gimme touchdowns. But if you're not watching the games, you're just like, oh, he threw for 4 touchdowns today, 5 touchdowns. But 3 of them were 2 yard passes, but whatever.
No, I'm glad Mark brought that up because I literally said that on the show today. That everyone was crushing Patrick Mahomes for having all those yak yards against the Chargers just 2 days ago. Yet, Tom Brady has had 4 different games this season alone where he had more yak yards than what Patrick had against the Chargers. Go fucking figure, man. This is unbelievable, Mark. Nevertheless, our guy Mark Gunnels was so kind to come on the show with us today, man. We really do appreciate it. I know you got a busy schedule. I know you got the kiddo, man. I know you got a life. You got your own thing going on. But nevertheless, man, we really do appreciate you being here. Our guy from Mark My Words podcast. You guys need to download and subscribe to that podcast. I absolutely love when he drives it on there, man. You had some great bet wagers last week. I saw people giving you a lot of credit. Whenever Mark drops a line, man, whenever he tells you guys to bet over, bet under, whatever it is, you got to listen to my guy Mark because he knows what he's talking about. Mark, before you go, say whatever you want to say, plug whatever you want to plug, man, because it's your platform.
Yeah, man. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast. Mark My Words on Apple, Spotify, Google Play, wherever you get your podcast at. And follow me on Twitter and Instagram for all my content. I write for Arrowhead Pride. I post betting videos for the Lakers on Lakers Nation. So follow me on Twitter at Mark A. Gunnels and Instagram at Mark A. Gunnels. And, yeah, you'll see everything I post on both of those platforms.
Mark, you're the absolute best, man. We're going to have you back on. In the meantime, man, you enjoy your weekend and enjoy this Chiefs victory because I know I am, man. It's been a great 11 days.
Yeah, man. Go Colts and go Pittsburgh this weekend.
Let's go.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Have a great day, Mark.
All right, man. You too, man.
All right, that's our guy, Mark. Our guy Eddie's here. Actually, switch me real quick, Eddie, because we need to adjust again. We're going to get my mic and my audio back on. In the meantime, Trevor, give me some takeaways from what you had on that Mark Gunnels interview, man.
Yeah, so headphones, taking them with you. Yeah, I mean, classy guy as always. That's a great interview. Definitely enjoy his takes, and I agree with damn near everything that guy has to say. But yeah, I mean, as far as the NBA takes and the Kyrie stuff and the Tom Brady winning the MVP because he likes to throw the 2-yard touchdowns at the line of scrimmage and have good running backs and defenses at all times. So I agree with all that stuff. But yeah, I mean, what more can I say, man? I was pretty much lock in step with everything he was talking about. Wise guy, because I agree with everything he says, so he's got to be wise, right? So definitely enjoy his takes. Well-spoken guy, great guest, one of my favorite.
Patriots matchup, like, what are you looking for in this game?
Yeah, I mean, in this game, I both teams are going to want to establish the run. I mean, that's how both these offenses are built. But I do think there's more to the Colts offense than there is to the Patriots offense. I think the Patriots offense are more hamstrung by their quarterback. I don't think Mac Jones is a great thrower of the football yet. I think he's accurate. But I think Carson Wentz has better chops downfield, and he's obviously got the better weapon in Michael Pittman and the 2 tight ends. So I think Michael Pittman has a chance to have a good game here, but I don't think it's very likely. I think both teams are going to try to establish the run and try to be I think it's going to be a defensive game where there's a lot of rush attempts. Both quarterbacks are going to want to play conservative. You want to try to not lose the game, so Carson Wentz throwing less is definitely ideal. Getting Jonathan Taylor rolling, which I don't think anyone's stopping Jonathan Taylor at this point. This is why I don't even want to see the Colts in the playoffs. If the Chiefs run into the Colts in the playoffs, that's not a good matchup. I just think Jonathan Taylor is a scary man.
Mark said that as well. He goes, that would be the team. I mean, he doesn't want to give them that much credit yet.
I agree with him not wanting to go to Foxborough. That's the last place you want to go, but I think the last team I want to face is the Colts.
Yeah.
Because it's a very well-coached team. Carson Wentz can have those big blow-up games because Michael Pittman is an absolute stud, wide receiver 1, and Jonathan Taylor is a one-man wrecking.
Let me just say, it's really good, really quick. It's really good to have Eddie back because it just feels like when Eddie goes, everything just goes to shit. So that was fun. Mark literally hits us up. He's like, "I'm ready to go now," and then everything just goes to shit.
Well, I didn't know it. Yeah,
it's been an absolute blast.
I didn't know, but yeah.
These are the memories of the spoken podcast that we will remember.
Don't you
forever.
ever leave again, Eddie.
We might have some good segments. Remember those times, guys, when the mic just goes off and the camera goes off and Mark's waiting for us.
My bad.
This is what we do, man. But anyway, Eddie, give us some takeaways on that as well, man.
Look, man, I like the whole Colts take and everything. It's just I don't know if I can rely on Carson Wentz. Can he stay healthy in this home stretch? Can he stay healthy going into the playoffs? Can he stay healthy in the playoffs? I think that's the biggest question mark that we have with the Colts is can Carson Wentz stay healthy? I think that's the question that everybody's asking themselves. The Colts are getting rolling at the perfect freaking time. They're just getting hot right before the playoffs, and we know any team that goes in hot into the playoffs, they keep it rolling in the playoffs. So I agree, as in, like, that's one team I would not like to face, but the inconsistency of the team also makes me, like, not be worried
Defense
too much.
too, man.
I understand, but
Yeah.
like I said, the inconsistency of the team. It's like, I guess it's like seeing the Chiefs' offense in a way with their offense. They just have a better running game. Why do I say that? Because I think our offense and their offense kind of go hand in hand to the inconsistency. I think we're both just as inconsistent, and our defense are outstanding and excelling to their own standards.
We just have the X factor at quarterback when we
exactly.
absolutely need him.
Yes. Yeah. But like, if you look at the both teams, I think you have great defenses and then the offenses who are both inconsistent. So it'll be a good matchup. But at the end of the day, I think the quarterback would be the.
You see the Colts win?
The Colts win tonight. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I see the Colts winning. I think the Bills. They're playing the Patriots. I think the Patriots.
Well, that's next week. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the Patriots could potentially win tonight, but I think Mac Jones and him still being a rookie, being in these types of crucial games,
It's the best defense he's faced.
It's gonna be a little too much for him. He's a good quarterback. I am not saying he's not a good quarterback. He's a good quarterback, but I'm saying he hasn't, like Trevor said, he hasn't faced this type of defense this whole season, and he's we're in those games where every game is crucial. Can he handle the pressure of the remainder of the schedule? Can he handle that pressure going into the playoffs? So we'll see. That might play a factor tonight. Might be a little too much for him. We'll see.
Okay, well, that's we're gonna drop our lines today on our social media as far as where we see exactly how this game's gonna go with scores and things of that nature. I'm one that's not complaining because of the fact that we have 5 straight days of football. In fact, 6 of 7 days are gonna be football.
Isn't it 8 of 10?
Yeah, 8 of 10, 6 of 7, however you want to say it. So, because you have Thursday night, off Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Because there's supposed to be a Tuesday game now. I think they're talking about I think it's the Browns and Raiders game might be moved to Tuesday. So there's
That's I know they got moved yesterday, right?
yeah.
They got moved
So
yesterday to
The Seahawks game too.
Yeah.
Who's playing Monday? There's 2 games Monday, 2 games Tuesday.
It's hard
so
to
right
keep up
now,
with it.
as it currently stands, yeah, because
Eagles, Washington, and Seahawks. I don't know. It's on Tuesday. Monday is Browns,
Raiders.
Okay, so it looks like so it looks like Tuesday is going to be actually Seahawks, Rams, and then Washington football team versus the Eagles.
Yeah.
So that's the Tuesday games. I apologize. Yeah, and then on Monday night it's Vikings, Bears, Raiders, Browns is the early game on Monday night. So it's been a chaotic thing, but here's the thing: the NFL didn't really have any choices in the matter because you can't have the Browns go out there and field a team with 20 guys out. That's just a complete disadvantage, man. And all the players. It was reported today by Mike Garafolo that all the players with the Browns that tested positive were vaccinated players.
So they should be
and
ready
with the
to
new
go.
protocols, with the new protocols,
Go Browns, let's go.
Yeah, exactly. So they should be all good to go. Baker Mayfield should be good to go. Kevin Stefanski should be good to go.
I love how social media were all like, "Oh, well, the Broncos play without a." I was like, "Well, that was only the quarterbacks. I think that were out. I don't think they."
They also violated NFL protocols.
Yeah.
They were all within close proximity of each other. They're not supposed to be in that same room.
I would say
It's
if
the
the
Broncos.
Browns,
Who cares?
Yeah, I
You
would
know
say
what
if the Browns or somebody like big team had violated the fucking protocols, their game would have been forfeited.
Well, and there's also a difference too because they didn't have the vaccine back then. When the Broncos tested positive, there was no vaccine to give these guys, so they couldn't bank on these guys being vaccinated players.
Yeah.
Totally different situation. So I actually want to move to this because we have a couple segments ago, and then we're going to be out of here, guys. And we appreciate our guy Mark Gunnels so much for being on here, man. I jumped all over the board with those questions. I was so ready to go, man. Yeah. He's such a busy guy, dude. And I promise you guys, you follow him, he's gonna make you money. He's really good with his wagers, man. He's really good with the over-unders. He hammers lines all the time, and he's almost always money, literally. So give him a follow if that's also something you're big into as well. And it goes across the board, not just football, but basketball as well. He's big into that as well. I actually want to preview the Chiefs-Steelers game. I know that we're about 13 days away, 12 days away, but by the time we do our next show, man, we're going to be sitting here talking about this game again, and we've had so many games clumped together that I feel like it's only necessary that we talk about this upcoming game for the Chiefs. And the reason why is because I'm with Mark. I'm going to keep this one as simple as possible. There is a real chance the Chiefs could slip up in the next 3 weeks and find a way to squander that 1 seed. I don't think it's going to happen, but the Steelers game is the one that I'm the least concerned about, just like Mark said. Reason being, Ben Roethlisberger has been awful this season in a lot of ways. I know people are trying to convince themselves over the last 4 or 5 games he's throwing 9-10 touchdowns and only 3 picks. And I really hope the Steelers convince themselves to stick with him for one more year, because that would just be beautiful to have a 40-year-old Ben Roethlisberger out there with his fucking doves flying south boobies and just go out there trying to convince him that he can still play quarterback at the NFL level. I really hope that happens. The matchup, I know that the Steelers have TJ Watt and guys that can play well on the defensive side. Their secondary has been actually pretty bad over the last several weeks. And I think the Chiefs could really expose a few things on the defensive side. I think with a healthy Chris Jones and L'Jarius Sneed and Willie Gay back, guys, I think the Chiefs could have their best defensive game against the Steelers. And I know they have weapons. Chase Claypool. I know they have Washington. I know they have a good run game with Najee Harris. I don't think that the Steelers are going to put up any real points against this Chiefs team. In fact, I think this could be that week where the Chiefs go back to giving up single digits on the defensive side. And I think this is a game where the Chiefs really tack on the offensive side and get ready for maybe a potential shootout against the Bengals, because that's the team that I think could really give the Chiefs some fits. Because the matchup-wise, Bengals are a pretty good matchup for the Chiefs. That's why I said a couple weeks ago I think that's the team that could give the Chiefs fits in the playoffs. If they fought, I'd still pick the Chiefs. But that's the game over the Broncos game and over the Steelers game, because the Bengals game is a game maybe the Chiefs may lose a focus because they know the next week they have to go into Denver and win a big divisional game. That's the one I'm looking at. But this Steelers game, guys, I feel so fucking good about it, man. And it's so nice to think that we get to wait over a week to just sit here and salivate on those 3 straight divisional wins. And now you get to face a hobbling Steelers team in your house. I don't know if I've felt better as a Chiefs fan all season long than I do right this second, guys. Trevor, what do you think about the Steelers matchup?
Yeah, I mean, I 100% agree with you and Mark when he talked about how the Chiefs are going to blow them out. I think this could go similar to the way the Bengals, how the Bengals beat them. The Bengals defense, I think they had a couple defensive touchdowns. I think Big Ben threw 3 picks. There was a fumble recovered. There was an absolute just dismantling of the Steelers, and I definitely think this defense. Not even our offense I don't think our offense has to do that much. I'm not even worried about Pittsburgh's defense. Because I think our defense is going to go to work on Big Ben, because the way they play offense feeds right into our strengths. They play a lot of underneath, a lot of dink and dunks, a lot of quick passes to Deontay Johnson, Claypool, and the tight end, Freiermuth. And then Najee Harris. Najee Harris isn't getting to his full potential because that O-line sucks. The O-line sucks, so Najee's not going to be able to eat as much. I mean, I think we could let Najee run a little bit and let him play to the strengths and let Ben make mistakes, because I think that's going to happen. I just think our defense is going to have a heyday here. I really do. The Bengals, absolutely, their defense just was all over Big Ben. If that defense is going to do that, a very inconsistent defense, I think our defense getting Chris Jones back, getting everybody back, L'Jarius Sneed coming back with playing with a heavy heart and wanting to play motivated football. I just think there's a lot of factors that go into this that just the stars are aligning for an absolute just blowout on both sides. I think Pat could go out there and do what he needs to do, but I don't think he's going to have to, because I think our defense is probably going to score a touchdown here of some sort or have a couple turnovers forced. And I think we're going to play with good field position most of the day because of those turnovers, because of Pat just going out there. I think Travis Kelce can absolutely eat. And I think this is the worst matchup for the Steelers, especially at this time of year where they have to win. Granted, I do think that they will have a game plan set to where because this is a must win for them.
Yeah.
This is a must win, because they lose this game, their season's over.
Yeah.
So that giving them credit, giving Big Ben, who he is, a legend, Hall of Famer, always finds ways to typically be in games, but he does have those letdown games. So I will give them that chance that this could become a competitive game, because I think they're well coached. I think they've been around the block, but I just don't think they're good. They've only won games where they've only won outright weird games, right? And they've tied too. So this is a team that's just not
with the Lions.
Yeah,
by the
this
way.
is a team that's just not good. They had to have an absolute come from behind almost victory against the Vikings, and that Vikings team was shredding them. So if that Vikings offense is going to shred them, which is a good offense. I'm giving them credit. Obviously, they have great weapons, but that was without Adam Thielen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they're without their number 2 receiver.
Dalvin Cook got banged up.
Who was banged up throughout the entire game.
Yeah.
Granted, Alexander Madison's a great backup, but they were shredding them.
Right.
The Chiefs rolling coming off the performance we just had and winning in that kind of fashion with that kind of momentum. Granted, that sets up
extra time off.
That sets up a letdown game too.
Yeah.
Because we could have blown our load and this could be a letdown, but I just don't. I think Andy Reid understands what we need to do. If there's as much of a must-win game this is for the Steelers, it's even more for us because we're trying to get that 1 seed. Andy Reid really, really wants that. especially with all the shit that's been talked about the Chiefs and the way we started the season and then finishing the season with the 1 seed is all the bragging rights. And Andy Reid wants that. Patrick Mahomes wants that. Our guys want that. And I think this defense is going to be the star of the show.
Oh man, kind of far away to kind of. I still want to see what happens this week.
I'm just excited to talk about it, man, because we have so much time to like sit here and think about it. I wanted to at least get some quick thoughts about from you guys.
I'm
about
very
this.
confident in this game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm confident. Yeah, I'm confident in the Chiefs winning this game against the Steelers, but I want to see what the Steelers' game plan is going to be against the Chiefs, because like Trevor says, it's a must-win for them.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't want to see. I don't want to think that the Chiefs are already putting this in their mind as a W, and then focusing on the Bengals and Denver after that, because those are 2 big games.
Yeah, don't think like us.
Yeah. So I just hope the Chiefs like go out there, do their thing. I hope the defense just,
That's still a very good Steelers defense. We got to give them credit too. Like that is a very good defense
and
too.
like, is our offense gonna still be inconsistent? You know what I mean? Like, is our offense gonna be the one that we saw in the fourth quarter and overtime against the Chargers, or is our offense gonna be what we saw from the first to the third quarter?
I could definitely say a run-heavy offensive scheme for the Chiefs because that's I mean. That's, I think, especially if our defense is doing what I expect our defense to do, I think we're going to run our running backs all over the place.
I think Chris Jones is going to be all over Big Ben.
Yeah.
Big Ben's not a mobile quarterback.
Right.
And
he can't throw deep anymore.
And the quarterbacks that have had success against the Chiefs are mobile quarterbacks, and he's not. So him having Chris Jones, Melvin Ingram, and Frank Clark just fucking all over his face is going to make this game miserable for the Steelers. They're not going to have time to run the ball, to pass the ball. They ain't going to have time to do shit.
Can I make an early prediction on this one, guys?
Oh, shit, already?
I think this game could be very similar to the Raiders game. I really do.
With the turnovers, yeah.
I think the Chiefs are going to win this game by 20 plus. And here's the reason why. I agree with you. Everything you guys just said made total sense. You know who else needed that victory a couple weeks ago? The Raiders. You know who else needed that in Week 10? The Raiders.
You know who else needed that a couple nights ago?
The Chargers. You know what I'm saying? Like we can sit here and you're right. Like the Steelers absolutely need that victory. It doesn't mean shit when it comes to how the Chiefs, when the Chiefs click, man, I'm telling you right now, and here's the thing. The Steelers and Raiders are very comparable teams. They are very comparable teams. Stylistically, the Chiefs actually match up with the Steelers very well. They got names. Like I said, TJ Watt can wreck a game. TJ Watt can wreck a game single-handed. He might be the best defensive player in the game.
Yeah.
But if that is all you're banking on, and that's what you have to go against, that offensive line with Patrick Mahomes and those weapons, does it go without say that that's not enough? If your best player, the anchor of your entire roster is a pass rusher, you can win games. But when it comes to games of this magnitude and going into Arrowhead Stadium with this team reeling the way that, or feeling the way that they're feeling right now, man, I just think that the Chiefs could easily avoid it. They could say, we're just going to go this way while TJ's over there. When TJ's over there, we're just going to go this way. We're just going to avoid him. I see that being the way they do these things.
TJ's still banged up. Don't keep that in mind.
That's true. That's very true.
Who do the Chiefs do that to?
Who they haven't done that to, because
they went the completely opposite way.
Well, they just did it against Max Crosby 2 weeks ago against the Raiders. They pretty much went every opposite direction of Max Crosby. And I think that if I had to think back, I think they tried to do that against the Cowboys, but the Cowboys, Micah Parsons is just all over the fucking field, so you can't really avoid him. Insane. He might be the most versatile player in the NFL.
I had a question about Micah Parsons. Do you think he is Defensive Rookie of the Year and Defensive Player of the Year?
I think he's both, man.
Honestly, as crazy as it sounds, I think they're still going to give a lot of push towards Diggs for Defensive Player of the Year because of his interception total. But if you're asking,
he's quieted down a lot last several weeks.
If you're asking my opinion, yeah, Micah Parsons right now, dude.
Is that the first to ever do that?
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yes.
I don't think I've ever heard of it.
There's
rookie and Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, I can't think of a single person that's ever done that. I mean, if Patrick Mahomes doesn't win,
JJ Watt had a good rookie year, but I don't think he won. He won Defensive Rookie of the Year though. JJ Watt, I believe, when he was rookie.
Yes, he did.
But I don't think he won Defensive Player of the Year.
Three different times Defensive Player of the Year.
Myles Garrett still has a chance to win Defensive Player of the Year, I think, though.
I think it depends on how the Browns
Chandler
finish their
Jones.
season. Yeah, and as unfair as it sounds, yeah, I think that depends on how they finish their season. If the Browns squeak into the playoffs, maybe. Yeah. But you guys know narratives matter so much.
That's a story.
Yeah, it's Micah Parsons.
I think he deserves it too.
Yeah,
I don't even think
if
it's
me,
like
I'm giving him the double crown.
That kid
I'm definitely giving him the double incredible
I think he
ground.
has the most sacks as a rookie, doesn't he? I think he broke the record.
Yeah, he did. He broke the rookie sack.
I think he broke the
And
record.
what's so crazy, man, is that guy has only rushed the quarterback on 38% of his career
Efficient.
snaps or his season snaps.
Because he can play safety.
38.
He can play slot corner. He can play linebacker. He can play defensive end. Like, it's like...
Fuck, line him up on safety. They probably put him on punter, and the dude's gonna put a net 60 on him.
What's
insane.
crazy to me is he's not a big guy.
No.
Not-
He's like a safety size.
He's not.
He's
a
like
little
Jamal
big
Adams.
here.
He's like Jamal Adams.
Yeah,
It's
he's not a
like
big
six,
guy.
6'1", 245, 255 pounds, like big dude to us.
Yeah.
But in the NFL, he's not a monster. He's
look
not.
at
He's
other
not Aaron
linebackers,
Donald or Miles Garrett like Trevor
Yeah,
said.
you look at other linebackers. And
Yeah, he's
shit,
not a
you're
wall
like,
with feet.
He's the perfect defensive player for today's football. Man.
Very hybrid.
He's
Yeah.
Very
the perfect.
athletic.
He's what this league is transitioning to. A lot of guys like him. I mean, granted, not as talented as him. He's a diamond in the rough.
Hey,
But
I'm not giving praise to me,
insane.
but hey, I did say he was going to win Rookie
did.
Defensive Player of the Year.
Just
so.
along with like 98% of everyone else. I think I might have been the only dumbass that didn't
I think
pick
I
him.
picked Patrick
He
Surtain.
picked somebody.
Well,
else.
Surtain's had a great season,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that's not a bad pick. I picked fucking Jamin Davis, who's been good, but he's not been
Yeah.
Micah fucking Parsons or even Surtain to his credit.
Yeah.
So guys, I know we jumped way ahead on this, but I just really could not like hone in my excitement for this matchup because I think the Chiefs are going to blow out the Steelers. And the biggest reason why also is because I think they're going to take it to the same approach with knowing what's next. The Chiefs knew that they needed to blow out the Raiders in that game 2 weeks ago because they knew what was next. A short week against the Chargers. Okay, well, the Chiefs have two more AFC opponents, not just a divisional opponent, two more AFC opponents, the Bengals, who are trying to get back into or they're in the playoff picture right now, technically.
I think there's 6 spots.
Yeah, they're
So
they're
what
trying-
you're saying is we're going to see a Chad Hennessy sighting is what we're going to see.
I think we're going to see some Hennessy. I think we're going to see Derek Gore again.
Yeah.
I think we're going to see some of these backups again, man. I think you're going to see a lot more
That's how you know
Mike
it's a good
Hughes.
day, man.
Mike Hughes continues to find himself on the field, man. I think you're going to see Mike Hughes again. I think you're going to see Mike Dana. I think you're going to see a lot of these guys that we like and want to see play more football get a chance because the Steelers
You
are
know,
going to get
we've
outmatched.
seen Hughes have 2 great games
Man.
this past since Snead
He
was
knows how
out.
to find that ball.
Do you think he'll take Charvarius Ward's spot?
Yes, I actually do.
Really?
As crazy as that sounds, here's why. Charvarius Ward's going to get paid. He's going to get paid.
played
and
well this year,
and
man.
we've seen the way the Chiefs handle the cornerback position. They don't value it the way other teams do. They're not going to outspend for a corner. You saw they didn't even give fucking Brashad Breeland, who they
yeah.
won a Super Bowl with,
Vet minimum
$4 million. So as
Just
much
said
as
bye.
as much as I love Charvarius Ward, as much as awesome he has been this season, has really earned himself a
We've
big
got depth, too.
contract.
I like Rashad Fenton too, man.
Guys, I don't think Charvarius Ward's back. I think he's going to get himself 10, 12 million a year next
love to
season
keep him,
somewhere
but,
else.
yeah.
I really there's teams out there that could really like even the Raiders. I could really see the Raiders going and giving $50 million to Charvarius Ward. I'm dead serious.
They need it. They do need it. He would, yeah.
badly. I could really see like him staying in the division.
I think Snead will be the only corner I think the Chiefs really spend money on.
He's a
Oh,
stud.
yeah.
I think that he will be the only corner the Chiefs
in the
will
words
spend.
of our friend BJ Kissel, there are exceptions to
He
those
needs
rules,
the perfect
man.
Spags corner too.
If and when let's say Snead continues playing like this, and by year 4 of his rookie deal, and here's the best part. You're not going to have to spend big money on him right now. Like if the Chiefs want to give him an extension after next season, which would be year 3, they're not going to have to give him 13, 14 million a year because he's a 6th round pick, or was a 4th round pick? 4th round pick, guy that became really, really good based on the market value. You're probably spending 8 to 10. I would do that for a little Jarius Snead, man, because he's special.
playmaker, man.
He's
Yeah.
special. Like Charvarius is really good. Legarius is like borderline elite. Like he's getting to that. Like he's not there yet. I'm not going to put him in the elite category yet.
Oh, no.
He's getting there. He's not Jalen Ramsey, but he's like right below. He's between Jalen Ramsey and then Gordon Ramsay. You know, he's in between the Ramseys. You know what I mean? Like he's right there.
He's that perfect Spags guy because he's great on blitzes too.
Yes.
He's good at mixing in the corner blitz, and yeah, I think he'll be here for a while.
We got one more order of business to attend to. Guys, what's it called? Hold this L! Each and every week, we give out a series of L's in the world of sports, whether they're friendly or not friendly. We promise you who was ever holding those L's in the world of sports, the motherfuckers deserve it. Mr. Eddie Ortiz, Mr. Yo, who is holding the L for you this week, and why is it F1?
I would give it to F1. It was a chaotic race weekend this past weekend.
I saw that. I was kind of hoping you'd give out an L. But
I mean, I would, but I think the Jacksonville Jaguars deserve a bigger L.
Man,
I would give it to Urban Meyer, but I mean, I think the Jaguars deserve it a lot more because we all knew especially Lance, he knew exactly what they were getting out of Urban Meyer.
Kicking players and fucking.
Like everybody knew, even Pat McAfee on I think it was First Take where they asked him, he was like, well, he was like, what did he say? He says he comes in, he does good, scandal, leaves. That's like that's the Urban Meyer thing.
He's a troll. It's like he's trolling the league.
It's just like, wow. It's like even like everybody knew that. I mean, I kind of knew, but you were adamant. I thought he was gonna.
I had no faith in it at all. Like,
I thought he was gonna be in for a few years.
I was just more vocal about it.
Yeah. I thought he was gonna be in for a few years, but no, there was a story that came out a couple of days ago from the Jaguars' former kicker in August,
Lambeau.
saying that he kicked him.
Yeah. Josh Lambeau.
Yeah.
Long time actually Jaguar kicker at the time.
I can't believe I can't remember what he said. He said something about
he said, "Don't fucking kick me again." And then
you gotta make those fucking kicks or some shit like that.
Yeah, he's I'm the head ball coach. I'll kick you if I want to, or something like that.
I was like, what the
Dude,
fuck, dude?
I would have laid his ass out, and I wouldn't care if I lost my job. It'd be
Well, he did
worth
lose
it.
his job.
He did.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But like, if you're gonna go out, fucking knock his teeth in.
Yeah.
And then
Bro,
he
wild.
went to the locker room with the guy. He had a meeting with the guys and fucking put the coaches on the spot like that, calling them losers.
Yeah.
Like, come on, bro.
I
Like,
hired you, but you're a losers.
Exactly. And then obviously his tenure did not start great after hiring that one dude that had
Chris Doyle.
Yeah, had the fucking complaints or whatever.
He was a racist.
Yeah.
When he was purposely holding James Robinson off the side, they're starting running back, and so Trevor Lawrence is like, dude, are we gonna put him back in the game? And he finally put him back in, like, because he fumbled, I guess, and he was like holding him out of the game.
He drafted a running back, I think, with their first round pick, even though
ETN, who's a stud? Who's gonna be a stud? ETN's a stud.
But I mean, like, you didn't need a running back at the first fucking pick. Like, come on, like,
Yeah.
like, and then before the season started, you said that you gave 50-50 snaps to Trevor Lawrence and fucking Minshew, saying that they got like we all knew Lawrence was a starter, like automatically. Like
He's not using them right either. It's the scheme.
There shouldn't have been a question of 50-50. He took snaps away from Lawrence, like snaps that he needed.
Yeah, you took this guy number 1 overall, and you're taking snaps from him.
Exactly.
How does that help his development in any way?
Yeah. So I mean, this is all the Jaguars' fault. It all started with them trading away their players, and obviously started with Jalen Ramsey. I think once Jalen Ramsey left, the whole organization just went to shit.
It's a fixable situation.
It is, but it's gonna take time.
They made the right move finally.
It's gonna take some fucking time because they chose fucking Urban Meyer before the Jets coach and Eric Bieniemy. Mm-hmm. Like, what the fuck? Like, so for that reason, man, Jacksonville Jaguars, you're gonna have to do me a favor and
hold this L. Trevor Twidwell, who's holding the L for you this week?
Look, I'm gonna make this quick. We touched on it a couple times throughout this show. I'm giving it to the Las Vegas Raiders.
Man, Trevor's has been straight.
I don't care.
Swatting
They
on them
deserve
today, man.
everything. They deserve all. And then we haven't even given them enough because we kind of grazed through that game preview. Y'all decided to make that drive around our stadium when y'all finally beat us. When Derek Carr finally got away, and y'all made a couple big plays that surprised us, and we couldn't recover. Cool. Y'all won. Enjoy that Super Bowl. We talked about that a shit ton when that happened. You felt great about that one, and then we got our revenge. Some good, sweet revenge after that happened. And then apparently y'all didn't learn because you got defensive leaders and other players in this roster rallying around the Chiefs logo in Arrowhead Stadium when your fan base is supremely outnumbered in our home, rallying the troops and stomping on our logo, meeting in the middle of our logo and getting rah-rah as if y'all are going to do something, as if y'all didn't learn the last time you did that.
it did something.
And you got all the Raiders fans,
David Copperfield,
all the Raiders fans on Twitter post pre-game retweeting the video of it and talking all this shit. In the very first play, you guys fumble the ball. We take it into the end zone for 6. It's the most poetic shit in the world, bro. Like, I hope they keep doing this shit. I really hope they keep doing this stuff. It's almost like they're self-inflicted. Like, y'all want to get your ass beat today? Y'all want to fucking lose this shit? Let's stop with the Chiefs logo, baby. Let's make a trip around the stadium. Like, what? It's like, bro, this is the most. It's so hilarious to me. Like, they just keep doing this to themselves. Like, as if the Chiefs need any bulletin material against the Raiders. Like, bro, it's just these poor fans. I feel sorry for the fans, like, because I know they're a legitimately faithful, rowdy, great football. They're what every football fan base wants to be. The great fan bases, and the fact that they are loyal and as faithful to this team as they are, kudos to them. But your players are fucking it up for you guys bad because you keep poking the bear that is the Chiefs, the Kings of the AFC. Not even just this division, but the AFC, and y'all want to poke us. Y'all want to light even more of a fire underneath this that we already beat your ass once, and then you want to do this shit after we beat you already again? It's hilarious, bro. We just gotta hey, keep it up. I love it. But in the meantime, we gave you guys that L again, so you're gonna have to hold another one. So in the meantime, the Las Vegas Raiders, whatever you guys want to call ourselves at this point, do me a solid and
hold this L.
I just wanted to go out with that because I just wanted to.
Nothing makes me happier. I'm happy
again.
the Chiefs beat the Raiders, but seeing Trevor this
Dude, I hate
and enjoyable. Yeah,
I don't hate many
jovial.
things. I don't hate many things in my life, but I hate the Raiders so much, dude. I hate them so much. Like, my whole life I've spent.
I'm not getting
It's
the
personal for me.
energy from
Not
Trevor
tonight.
today.
No Tim Burton
It's
shit.
personal for me.
He
dude.
gave the L to the Raiders. We should give the W to whoever's in charge of the PA system.
Oh yeah, the wheels on the bus.
So,
That shit was perfect.
That was
man.
perfect.
As a
dude.
Raiders fan, how the fuck do you react to that?
Oh, yeah.
Leaving the stadium, you hear the wheels on the bus.
I mean, Ngakoue. I mean, how sick was Ngakoue, dude? Knowing when he saw that first play after he rallied the troops in the middle of our field, bro. I love it.
Yeah, it's funny. I was actually going to go with either one of those today. I'm actually going to double down on Eddie's, and it's in a different way though.
Yes.
It's not sad, but it's also kind of sad because I think that both Shad Khan and what Trevor Lawrence can be could be great things. I think Shad Khan's got a lot of good attributes too. He's been involved in AEW. He does a lot of really good things. And
He's a businessman.
He's been very patient. Yeah. He's been very diligent with what he's tried to do. But he made the most epic of epic fuck-ups. Not just because he hired a piece of shit like Urban Meyer, who had zero NFL experience and had zero work ethic and has been proven time and time again just how much of an absolute jackass he is. Not only did he put that much faith in him and back him up and try to give him patience and all these other things, but he did it in a season where he had the number 1 overall pick and one of the most skilled quarterbacks to ever come out of the draft. Like, that is the biggest issue. That's the biggest issue I had with Shad Khan in that decision, was Trevor Lawrence needed an Andy Reid type of head coach. Not even just that you needed Andy Reid, just an experienced head coach. You could have went and got Jim Caldwell. You could have went and got Todd Bowles. You could have went and got several other eligible and proven head coaches in this league. And if you wanted to go with an inexperienced guy, how about you go with a guy that's actually been in the NFL for some time? Why don't you go get Doug Peterson? Why don't you get Eric Bieniemy?
Yeah.
Why don't you go and get Vance Joseph? Why don't you go and get, I don't know, a coach of color? Because of the fact that you're giving Urban Meyer, a guy that did not deserve that job only continues to stoke the fires of people that say they're not giving black coaches enough opportunities.
Yep.
Shad Khan fucked up badly in more ways than one, so an L is deserving to him. But in a sad way, I have to give one to Trevor Lawrence, because now it has been proven that he is truly with a poverty franchise. That although Shad Khan, I think, means well, he to this point has been shown that he isn't capable of making good decisions. They did draft Trevor Lawrence. Common sense move. Anybody, a blind deaf guy, could have made that decision, though. But when I see him hire an Urban Meyer, that tells me he doesn't know what he's doing. And Trevor Lawrence has to inherit that. And until Trevor Lawrence can potentially get out of there by year 5 or 6, if they franchise tag him multiple times, he's stuck.
They could turn it around.
No, I don't believe it. Maybe they will. But my God, has the Jaguars shown you anything over the last several years that they can do that? They had one season where they're in the AFC Championship. That's because the AFC was horrifically down that year. Everything went right for them. They had a top 5 defense. There's a reason it was only a 1-year thing, man. That Jaguars franchise is fucked. Trevor Lawrence is fucked. Shad Khan, it's your fault. Trevor Lawrence, you're the inheritor of it all. So for that, Shad Khan, Trevor Lawrence, everybody in the Duval area, do me a solid and hold this L. Appreciate it. Our guy Mark Gunnels came in the clutch, man. We appreciate him.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Gave us both NFL and NBA takes. Was patient with us through our fucking errors on the technical side
take
of
the blame
things. It's
for
what
it.
we do. Trevor Holdy. I was kidding.
Hi.
It's what we do. Hey, like I said, when we lose Mr. Yo-Yo-Yo, you start seeing things scramble. You ever seen two white guys turn red? Let Eddie walk out the room real quick. You know what I mean? We're sadder than Raider Cody on a Raiders loss.
Hey, don't talk about him, Lance. Don't
Oh, yeah, that's right. We're being mean.
We talk trash on our guests. You don't want to do that.
Even though we had video evidence that we weren't mean. No, it's all right.
Go Raiders.
Go Raiders. We don't know if we'll be here next week. I have no idea if we're going to have an episode next week or not. We got to figure that out because it's kind of like Christmas on, was it Saturday? Is that Saturday?
Christmas Eve Friday.
Christmas Eve Friday. Eddie ain't fucking around on Christmas Eve, so we're going to have to figure something out. We might get a little versatile on this week, guys. I don't know. But in the meantime, we kept the streak alive. We've had a show every single week since June of 2019. That streak might be in jeopardy this week. I'm not sure yet. But I hope you guys enjoyed this show, man. We've had an absolute blast covering these last 3 divisional games that the Chiefs decided to go ahead and dominate. We appreciate that. It's been a lot more fun talking about Chiefs wins as opposed to losses in the beginning of the season. That was really rough to get through. I've had some rough takes like my guy Mark Gunnels called out. Deservingly so, and I'll stand by him because that's how the Chiefs were playing, and now they're playing like the team we know they'd be, which is, to me, the best team in the NFL and the future Super Bowl champions of this season. So for Trevor Twidwell, for Eddie Ortiz, for the great Mark Gunnels from Mark My Words podcast in L.A., for the great Clay Wendler that puts all this bad stuff together that we call content, I'm Lance Twidwell of the Spoken Podcast. Episode 147 is done, finished, and finito. And until we hopefully see you guys next week, have an awesome holiday season. Merry Christmas to everybody that celebrates it. We out of this bitch.
See ya.
Later.